I'm Mesa,
I'm LJ.
and streaming to you from a golden beach, this is Knack and Jay.
Alrighty.
Very nice. It's tricky to time that properly.
No, it got a little.
Music
It got a little goofed up. Unfortunately, it wasn't.
No.
Was that really 11 seconds?
Yes.
Wow. Dang. All right, we're gonna have to extend that because there was a slight delay on OBS's end. So I just had to rush a few things, but it's fine.
That's fair enough. It's no big deal. You guys know the intro at this point.
Yeah.
But hello. It's been a hot minute.
Oh gosh, it's
since
been nice.
we've done one of these.
Oh yeah.
Bro, no, I've missed Knack and Jay. Come on, dude.
Given what the last few were about, I haven't.
No, that's fair enough. I mean, a little vacation period to cleanse the palate, all things considered, I think was totally fine. But I am glad to be back. I like doing these, and I like hearing what's going on in that there Bionicle community. And today we have a particularly special one, an interesting topic, and an interesting guest. We rarely have guests on Knack and Jay, but for this one we felt it was more than appropriate. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the one, the only DuckBricks to the stage.
Hello there. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks so much for being here. It's very cool. Thank you for showing up. We're going to have a good show this evening. Before we get into the topic at hand, because it's incredibly lengthy and there's a sizable amount of preamble, for those who might not know who you are, which I doubt is many people, you're pretty prolific nowadays. Go ahead and talk a little bit about yourself, how you got into Bionicle, and what you do.
Sure thing. So I'm DuckBricks, aka Chris. First of all, it's kind of surreal being on here because I practically grew up watching TTV, so it's a little bit strange to be actually live on a podcast now. So very, very cool to be here. Thank you both again so much for having me. Incredibly excited. So yeah, I have a YouTube channel called DuckBricks. I'm a big Lego and Bionicle fan. I kind of started during COVID and quarantine. I was at home, and essentially my friends were all saying I really have to start a YouTube channel, if not just to show some of the details of my Lego collection and how I have stuff set up and whatnot. So eventually, finally, I did decide to set things up near the tail end of 2020. Have been going strong ever since, 3 videos a week, and I've been having a great time being kind of in the YouTube community and the larger Lego community as well. I personally actually got into Bionicle quite late in its run. I was first and foremost a Lego fan, and actually I got into Bionicle right around when it was ending in 2008, 2009. And I believe how I got into it was a friend of mine told me to play the Motanui online game, and I was like, okay, what the heck, I'll download this and play it. And I was pretty much hooked from there, and that was when I was first discovering Bricklink, and it kind of all spiraled from there. So while I was first a Lego fan, I think Bionicle really cemented my love for Lego storytelling, and that's what really caused me to stick around and be still a big part of the Lego community, is my love for Bionicle and Lego stories.
That is absolutely fascinating. I'm so sorry you got into it right as it was ending. That's always a sad thing to hear when people say that, because I'm halfway there. I got into the community right when it was ending.
I see.
Yeah, it was less than ideal.
No, I'm kidding.
Shut up, LJ. You're not a real fan. You weren't there from day one.
Nah, you're right. I was there from day like 2 or 3.
Yeah, there you go. Well, thank you. That's a very interesting story, and you do a lot of good work. You have a lot of varied videos. You have a good content pipeline, and you have a giant freaking collection. So, mad props to you, good sir.
Thank you so much.
Stuff.
I appreciate it.
I'm sure this won't be the last time we'll talk shop about the channels and stuff. But
sounds good.
Alas, we have
We have
quite the
different
topic
kind of shop to talk.
today. A different kind of shop, the contest shop. So, I would estimate, people are still filtering in right now. So far, we have 39 people listening. I would wager most of the people who are listening to this probably are aware of the context. but because every video is someone's first, I'm going to give a very, very brief, abridged version of kind of the timeline of events that led us here, just to kind of set the stage. So throughout Bionicle's run, there were a variety of things called canon contests, which were held sometimes in Lego magazines for stuff like the the Dark Hunter contest and stuff, but oftentimes in the later years on online Bionicle fan communities, where mocks would get submitted to a contest. Whoever won the contest would get approved by Bionicle story author Greg Farshtey to become a part of the canon storyline. There were story contests, there were artwork contests, there were mock contests, there were weapon contests, a bunch of contests. Then they lapsed for a large amount of years. Well, back in, it feels like 10 years ago, but back in, what was it, Eljay, 2020?
Yep.
Was it early 2020? Oh my
Yep.
God.
Yep,
It's not,
that is.
it doesn't feel like 2 years. Someone on the TTV message boards, where Bionicle author Greg Farshtey is nowadays, asked him if he would be open to the idea of canon contests returning. He said yes, if people were interested in them. And then we kind of facilitated their creation by doing a poll to gauge community interest, and then going like, okay, well, what would be needed to make these run? So we had like a polling infrastructure, we had entry lists, and we set about crafting a list of characters, which were really just the highly requested characters who never received physical appearances in the Bionicle story because they never had sets made of them. We presented that list to Greg. He was like, cool, cool, cool. And then 3 contests were run. The Helrix contest, the Artaka contest, and the Toahaga contest. All with varying degrees of trials and tribulations that are well documented and not relevant at this moment. Before ultimately, earlier this year, the contests came to a unfortunate conclusion. Following months of deliberation about rules and such, it was unfortunately revealed that Greg Farshtey was let go from the Lego company, and I believe he's still currently employed until July. Is that right?
Yeah, he mentioned, I think actually I have his announcement up here, so let me go ahead and bring that on screen. So he did say, after 22 years, it looks like my Lego journey may be over. I've been laid off with my last day scheduled for the end of July.
Okay. So he's got about another month to go.
Yeah.
But for reasons that I hope are obvious, we were basically like, okay, this really isn't sustainable to keep doing these. It's not worth bothering him in the last few months of his employment when he's making a major life change with, hey, could you look at these pictures and answer these granular rule questions and canonize this stuff? It just felt wholly inappropriate on many different fronts. And we made the conclusion to just stop, because ultimately the whole concept of a canon contest, a lot of people only put merit in the results because they were approved by an active Lego employee. Even though he wasn't actively writing the story anymore, he still had that, perceived authority. And, when he's no longer employed with Lego, that isn't there anymore. So there were a bunch of different reasons, but the contests were closed up. But then we have this amazing person over here who was like, yeah, we can still do cool stuff. And DuckBricks, Chris, take it away. What happened from that point on?
Yeah, of course. So really, from my standpoint going into things, I was always a big fan of the Canon contest. Selfishly, because I love getting new Bionicle models. It was almost like getting a brand new set every time a winner was announced. But also because I thought it was a really cool way to get the community involved in creating and coming up with these things. And I hadn't really seen such a united, I guess, output of creativity from the Bionicle community as a whole before this. So when the announcement was made that the Canon contests were canceled, I was pretty sad, but obviously very understanding of the reason. I absolutely think it was the right decision to definitely not want to bother Greg Farshtey on this anymore at this point, especially given his circumstance. But then I was thinking that why do we actually have to make them canon, and why not just continue the contest and make them non-canon, but still have people compete for some sort of other prize. I wasn't sure at first how many people would even be interested if they were not even going to be canonized. So that's why kind of right when the announcement was made, I think around that night or something, I made the proposal. I was like, just off the top of my head, what if we had contests that were non-canon and see what people think. And then I was pretty surprised to see that a lot of people were actually really interested in it. From what I had expected originally, I certainly was not expecting that level of interest in this. So I guess it was kind of off to the races from there. I launched my Discord server like the next day. I put together a video like polling people if they actually wanted to see this happen, what would they want to see out of it. And really, it's just kind of been a full ride since then, with a lot of crazy stuff happening along the way.
There you go. So as of now, you've concluded the Tuyet contest, and have you announced which one is next?
Yes, I have. So the next one will be the official announcement is coming July 1st, which actually came by a lot faster than I thought it would. I gave it a full month before, after ending the Tuyet one, to launch this one. I was like, wow, that's coming up pretty soon. But I kind of wanted to do a bit of a filler contest, or quote-unquote filler contest in between, as to not burn out the community by having so many contests in rapid succession of super important characters, but also to allow for maybe a little bit more interesting build to be submitted. So the next contest is the Dinosaurs of Botamogna contest. We got some visual depictions of dinosaurs in the comics, but not really that much, and I think that this would be a really fun way to get the community together to build some crazy looking animals, to really go crazy in terms of what sorts of animals to build. I do not expect there to be nearly as many entries as there were for the Tuyet contest, one, because people probably just don't care as much, but also because dinosaurs are a lot harder to build than Toa. But I'm excited to see where this goes, and that is officially the next contest with multiple different tiers for prizes.
That's really cool. I like that idea a
Now,
lot.
I'm glad you said prizes, because that's something that's very interesting. You teamed up with someone for the prize of the contest. Since the canon contests, the end all result, the prize was canonization from Greg Farshty. You went a different route since that was off the table. I have a picture of the prize. Would you like to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So immediately going in, I felt that people might not be as interested if there was not canonicity on the table, as you said. So I was trying to think, well, what other really cool prize could we do that people would want to do? So at first I was just thinking I would just draw from my own personal collection and just provide a prize from there. Although to be honest, I mean, I don't really have anything too special that I have duplicates of that I could give as a prize. I mostly just have random masks here and there, maybe like a half complete set. So I figured that something a little bit more interesting has to be done for the prize. And that's why I want to give a big thank you to Socketball. I kind of put out an open request for anyone who would want to provide prizes for this. And he answered and he said he would be happy to produce a prize for it. It was very quick from ideation of, well, Tuyet's kind of evil and she's a toe of water, so let's do a movie Crocon with blue coloration. That was really just the basic gist of it. And it was produced remarkably fast. Again, big shout out to Socketball, who you may know as a very prolific resin caster in the community. He makes different colors of Bionicle masks that either are really hard to come by or just don't exist in those colors. He does a really great match for official Lego colors. The parts really do feel like real Lego. And this was a really cool way to, I think, elevate the contest to really have a very cool prize with them. And I'm really excited because not only am I partnering with him again for the next contest, we also have a few other members of the community coming together to have some additional contest prizes of their own following the success of this one. So quite an exciting time ahead.
I love that. I was absolutely stunned by how cool the mask was, because I love Socketball's work, and it's such a unique concept for a mask. That not only being dual molded, but being the movie Crocon of all things. It's a very cool item to have.
Yes.
Socketball's a legend, except that you don't have enough of your inventory, Socketball. I tried to get a black and white marbled Evoke, and I couldn't because they were sold out immediately. Yeah. I was there right when they went live, Socketball. Sorry.
I missed out on purple twice now.
I was camped out at work. I strategically timed my break. I had all my information loaded up ahead of time, and I was ready to pounce when those like black and white masks went live. And it did not work out. So maybe
Next time.
maybe next time. But that's neither here nor there. I think those are very cool ideas for prizes, and I'm looking forward to seeing what others you have in the future. Yeah.
Yes.
That's exciting stuff because it's an interesting thing. Like, how do you make a contest like this have appeal? And you're right when you say, I mean, there's an ethos for prizes. I see sometimes like, okay, well, if it's just sets, that's interesting enough because it's an item, and then especially for mockists, it's like mocking parts. And that's true to a point. I get that logic, and I think it's worked well for some contests in the past. But I feel like to have appeal for a canon contest or a Fanon contest of all things, you would need something a little bit extra. And I think it's cool that you were able to make that work.
Exactly.
Mad props.
Yeah, props to Soccer Ball for coming forward and volunteering. I think the coolest duplicate item I have is just another Maximus and Spinax, but I figured most of the prolific Machis in the community probably already have it or have something like it built, something cooler than it built. So I was trying to think, what is something really special and one of a kind that we could actually do as a prize here to motivate people?
That's the problem with rare Bionicle stuff. Like, a lot of it is, if you have one, it's very hard to have another that you'd be willing to part with. Back in the day, when BZ Power did stuff, they would either just give away Lego sets that they had like a million of just sitting around in giant pallets, stuff like Star Wars Construction, etc., or like prototype pieces. But those prototype pieces have long since kind of made their way out into the community, and now everybody only has like one of each one, unless someone's going to volunteer one, which probably not going to happen. It's definitely a good idea to go with custom stuff. Well, I would say props on the whole, because here's the interesting thing that I know you did a good job. I haven't really heard much about the Tuyet contest. And I mean that in a positive sense, because I haven't heard about much drama with the Tuyet contest.
Well, we'll get into it. There are two, I guess, big, I don't know if I would say controversies or dramas or incidents that happened. One of which was incredibly upsetting to me personally, but I kept mostly under wraps, which I'd be happy to delve into now. And the other one,
behind the scenes,
more public. Yes, and the other one, which was a bit more public, but actually was not a big of a deal as a lot of people probably think it was, because it was resolved very easily. So there are only two like major things that I can think of.
Well, the fact that only one was known, that's a good sign.
I'm sorry, blemishes, mistakes, write it all off. The concept's toast. It's not going to happen. Just stop them now. In fact, I am going to start a petition to cancel your contests because you made a mistake.
They're over.
Yep,
this was all just an elaborate ruse. We got you on the show just so we can cancel you.
Leave me into canceling it. You got me.
Exactly.
Okay.
You got into Bionicle right when it gets canceled. You got on our show right when you get canceled. Easy.
Hashtag cancel DuckBricks.
Exactly.
All right.
I think that's Eljay, go ahead.
No, I'm curious to hear about the process, to hear about how it went, because I know that for Meso and I, it was unbelievably stressful. And I mean this seriously when you were talking about being a fan of the contests. Like, I genuinely was really confused, and I'm not used to hearing that, because Meso and I, we were inundated with a great deal of negativity. It wasn't from a lot of people, but it was from enough people that were so consistent, like day in and day out, that hearing positive feedback is, and I'm serious, I'm not trying to exaggerate, it's a little surreal sometimes.
Yeah, it's because overall we know, based on numbers and based on polls that we're running and stuff, the majority of people liked the contests, but
they were very popular.
The majority of people are silent. So it's nice to hear, even if the road wasn't perfect, that they were a source of positivity.
Yeah, for sure. For me personally, I never really was interested in getting involved or even learning of drama, of really any kind, surrounding the community, or just stuff like people arguing about really, really minute details and stuff like that. From my point of view, I knew there was drama going on. I did tune into some Knack and Jays here and there, where I was like, "Huh, that's interesting." That people are really getting all riled up about that, which I didn't think they would actually care about that much. But I will tune in when it is time for me to vote, and when it is time to see the entries, and when the winner is announced.
Incredibly
And when it's time for me to place
respectable take.
Brooklyn orders.
That's a very
And
respectable take.
so I mean, maybe if I learned more of the drama, then I mean, I don't know. I personally just was not interested in really getting involved in that. Wasn't I understand? I feel bad for you that you had to because you were running it. I mean, obviously,
Occupational hazard.
yeah.
Shouldn't have had to have been, but yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, from my point of view, I was just in it for, all right, what Bricklink orders do I need to place when the winner's announced? What do I need to vote for my favorites and whatnot? And that was what was really exciting for me. So from my point of view, I had a great time with them. And that was it.
Oh yeah.
So that's why I was very sad to hear them get canceled. Although
From my point of view, the Jedi are evil. No, okay. It's a bad joke. I don't even like Star Wars.
TTV is evil.
Oh no, you said well. Okay, the truth revealed. I knew your kindness was a facade. No. I joke. So I guess a good place to start would be at the start.
Yeah.
What were some challenges, or I don't know, just kind of where your headspace was at when you were developing the idea of a Fanon contest and what that would entail, especially when you're trying to avoid some of the pitfalls that the Canon contests had.
Yeah, for sure. So first of all, I think I was really lucky in that I never set out for these to be canon or to even have the suggestion of being canon whatsoever. So I think that immediately turned me away from a lot of, I guess, the minute scrutiny that people would have regarding canon being messed with. I know a lot of people are really sticklers, I guess, about the canon lore and whatnot, and exactly what Greg has said on so and so message board, like however many years ago.
That would be the source of probably 80% of the issues. Yeah.
Yeah. So immediately, I think I went into it knowing that at least I would not have to deal with that. I'm very impressed that you guys did deal with it as well as you did. I would not want to be you. Let me say that. Because that was a big benefit for me going into it, I think.
There were times I didn't want to be me either.
But yes, I think that for me the big thing was I'd never actually run anything like a canon contest before, or any sort of contest for that matter. I was incredibly worried about how I was going to review entries and give out prizes and even host the entries on sites to view, and all the logistics behind just like how it would actually feasibly run. I had pretty much no idea going in. I had some ideas, most of which were changed partway through, but for the most part, I kind of was just winging it. I mean, from what happened was that I literally just said, "What if?" I think my message was something along the lines of, "What if we just ran them as non-canon contests and just kept on going?" And I wasn't meaning that I would run them. I meant, what if like we, as in somebody out there, would run them?
So you just got kind of swept into your own idea.
Yeah. That is exactly what happened. And I think a lot of people took it as they're like, "Oh, DuckBricks is running his own contests now." And I was like, "Oh, I don't think I said that, but I mean, I don't see why not." And I
Really funny.
I guess I got caught up in the excitement of it all, and I was like, "Yeah, sure. I mean, how hard could it be?" As it turns out, very hard. But I mean,
What are you talking about? It's perfectly fine. Also, I'm like, 20, so contests are easy.
Yeah. Like what? Because I know there was a lot of question early on about, because one of the points that we got criticized for was our rules. Either they were too unclear, or they were they changed too much, or they didn't change enough, or they were incredibly strict, or stuff was inferred from Greg's words that may or may not have actually been said, in vivid detail by Greg. What was your thought process in crafting a rule set?
So, funnily enough, that was actually kind of a thing that I decided on probably first, was that there were going to be a lot less restrictions than the actual canon contest, because again, we're not actually messing with canon, so it shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
I think even though I was pretty distant from a lot of the controversy and drama surrounding it, I knew that, I mean, just from watching the Knack and Jays, I was like, okay, a lot of the big issues here are people arguing about what isn't canon and what Greg has or hasn't said. And personally, I didn't use Discord too much. Before this, I still don't use it too much. But I heard that you were making announcements on the I believe the Bionicle subreddit Discord. So that's why I was there when you made the announcement, because people were saying to go there to hear about what was going on.
Yeah, there were all sorts of calls and stuff.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say
don't
we
know
made
if it was-
announcements there exclusively.
Yeah.
More, yeah. There were other things in regards to that server, but continue.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is I don't know if it was because of the environment of that server, or just the messages I was reading, but the feeling that I had was that a lot of people wanted less restrictions overall, which I don't know is necessarily accurate, but for a non-canon contest, I think was the right choice, hopefully, to go with. It certainly seems that people were happier with there being less restrictions, given that it's non-canon. And I think the people arguing for more restrictions didn't really have, I guess they didn't really care because it wasn't canon. So that was a big thing for me going into it, was that we wanted less restrictions. And really, I kind of decided to just make it whatever Greg has said in message boards or kind of non-official media to be treated as suggestions, but not but not requirements. And anything that has been said in official Bionicle story material are the only quote-unquote requirements. So stuff like she wears blue armor has been stated in a story, and she has a toe of water, obviously. But other stuff like, I don't know if I'm trying to think of an example here. Probably the direction the barbs are facing on the sword is a good one.
Oh gosh.
Barbed broadsword gate.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh.
Let's go.
I was like, I don't think that any Bionicle media explicitly said what direction they were. So we're not going to require it. And I did check. I had people check, and thankfully that was right. He did not say that.
So it's right, and you know the whole situation with the barbed broadsword, right?
Yes, I think so. It was about like I know there were a lot of arguments around what direction it should be facing.
It was I think of everything, of all the controversies that the contests suffered, I think that one was probably the dumbest.
I agree.
Yeah, because no Bionicle media has explicitly stated the direction of the barbs. It came from a Greg quote where he said that the barbs were pointed in a direction where when the sword was removed, it would do more damage. And that's essentially what all he said on it, and then that's where that took off. So,
more or less.
Because then it implies that they're pointed downwards.
Exactly. And then we got into semantics. Did you know that there were like pages worth of argument about what a barb constituted as?
Well, it's because then you get into the question of like, well, does it mirror real world broadswords? Which the answer would be, why wouldn't it? But then you have people who are like, well, it could not mimic it. It could be different, and then you get into the whole mess. Now, Eljay, did the winning entry follow that?
Well, funny you should ask. Yes, it did.
Base barbed broadsword game.
It came to a close. Yay.
Well, I think overall that was definitely the right call for you. Get rid of like as much oppressive, rules as possible, because there's no need for them anymore.
That was the other thing. I felt that I didn't want to go out and say it, but I felt that 99% of the issues would be naturally ruled out by people just voting for whatever they thought looked better anyways.
Yeah.
I don't know, like I felt like it was gonna resolve itself through voting anyways, and I was like, a lot of I guess needless arguments to that end.
Well,
It was definitely, that was a common reoccurring sentiment, and I don't disagree with it. I think our problem was, I'm still to this day, I'm not sure if it was just us being, noteworthy figures who were kind of like drama magnets, people looking to
Yeah.
screw with us, or if it was the discontent about there being canon contests. But there was a lot of trolling and a lot of, things that were kind of brought upon us as being like, oh, people are trying to, screw with things and find, XYZ loophole for XYZ rule. So we went in the direction of make rules that account for every eventuality,
Oh,
which proved incredibly difficult and very hard to maintain
yeah.
because people would always find loopholes.
yeah.
So we did not really have a lot of trust in the just let stuff shake out through voting mantra. But I think in your case, who does not invite that, I think that was definitely the right call.
Yeah.
For the most part. But yeah.
And
yes.
that's ultimately it too, because the very first contest, its first controversy, was derived from a we'll let the voting process work itself out.
Yeah.
And it should be fine, right? And it was very, very not
sweet.
fine. It was the very opposite of fine.
Yes.
The noodle. The noodle.
Yeah.
I remember looking over. I was like, what are they doing over there?" And I like, just like from an outsider's perspective, just seeing that and being like, "What is going on? Like, what is this nonsense?"
It's awful because it could have just been a fun joke. It could have been. And it still kind of is.
It was
It's
a
just,
fun joke. Yeah,
yeah.
it was just more.
It's just the people that co-opted it for terrible gains.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think your ethos definitely served to benefit. What were some of the notable rules that you decided were important enough to keep?
So
You know?
the one rule that I guess was important for us to keep was the no meme entries rule, and I essentially basically just said like this is going to be very subjective. If I or a member of the review team think your entry is a meme entry, it will be disqualified. If you come back and argue that it wasn't, I mean, my logic was that if you tried to make your entry a meme entry and I somehow don't detect it and it goes through, then it's not doing a really good job at being a meme because it should be obviously like something should be obviously wrong with it, that it would be obviously a meme such that it would be disqualified. So that was kind of the logic behind that rule because I did want things to be held in good faith and for them to be taken seriously. Surprisingly enough, we got one meme entry out of like the 200 some or however many entries we eventually got. Only one of them was a joke entry, and I was incredibly surprised by that because I was expecting an onslaught of them, to be honest. And I was pleasantly surprised, and I was getting a little bit worried because there was one point in the voting process where there was an entry that was like I don't want to rag on anyone else's work, but it was like very questionably built, and I was like, maybe this is just someone who isn't that good of a mockist who submitted. But a lot of people were rallying behind it in the Bionicle Lego Discord server, being like, vote for that one. That one's like so bad it's funny. And I was getting really worried because I was like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do with that. But thankfully, when the final votes came out, like barely anyone actually voted for it. Like it placed dead last. So I was like, okay, well that problem resolved itself.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Worried halfway through.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Naturally resolving itself.
Wow.
That's so good.
Wow,
I love it.
People just voting sincerely. What a novel concept.
We love to see it.
So was that
Listen,
was that one of the controversies you mentioned?
Oh no, it was not. There were two like actual like ones that were major-ish, but that was not one of them. That was just like a worry that I had that did not end up being a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in terms of kind of procedures, what did you decide to go with in regards to stuff like, tallying up entries and perusing the entries for errors?
Yeah, so that was a really, I mean, I want to give a big thank you to all the people who just volunteered to look over entries. I would not have been able to do it by myself for sure. And essentially what I did was that I put out an open call for help just in my Discord and on other Discords, and was just like, if anyone wants to help review entries, please just like message me, let me know. Which did eventually end up the open call for help did end up kind of biting me later on, but for the most part,
Okay.
it was good. Because I didn't really vet anyone. Anyone who just messaged me and said they wanted to help, I was like, sure, thanks. Like I need all the help I can get, which may have been a mistake, but I mean, live and learn. For the most part, everything was fantastic. I had a lot of really great people on the team helping out with reviewing entries. And doing all sorts of stuff. And of course, I did the final checks on everything. Some people did reach out to me in certain segments of communities that did have some concerns over certain individuals who were part of the reviewing team, which I did not even know had any controversy surrounding them because I'm
No.
I guess, detached from that entire world. But essentially, what I said is that the people doing reviews literally cannot influence anything because it'll be incredibly obvious if they just deny an entry for no reason. Like if you think that they have something against you,
Yeah.
I would catch that. It
The
didn't
logic
happen.
basically being they would need to substantiate why they would, point out an entry, and you'd be able to vet it with another pair of eyes. So
Exactly. And we kept things very, very organized on Google Sheets. We had everyone mark who reviewed what, why something was disqualified, if so, if they reached out to that individual in question or no, have they gotten a response, what's the record of the communication there. Everything was done very, very transparently. So I could also do the final check at the end and make sure that everything was looking good, which thankfully the vetting process really worked out. I had people who were really on top of things. I mean, I was in the midst of graduating from college at the time. I had 1,000 other things going on, and I'm really, really grateful for all the people who were able to step in and help me out because they were really, really helpful in terms of getting stuff vetted.
that's awesome. I love that. How
Yeah.
did you decide to tally up entries? Did people just like email them to you?
So the way that entries got submitted were just via Google Forms. So
All
I
right.
literally just had a link in my video on my channel, and I just said, submit your entries. Please go here. Just paste in. You can post them literally anywhere. Just give me a public link to your entry that anyone else can view. As well, oh, the other big thing, I really needed there to be breakdown photos of mocks because I really wanted people to be able to reverse engineer it. That was kind of a non-negotiable rule from the start.
Mhm.
Another big thing I wanted to have.
Nice.
They had to include links for their entry photo, as well as breakdown photos, and as well as links to any sort of 3D or custom model that they used. This is again so people with their own 3D printers could recreate it, which was the idea behind that, which was pretty good for the most part. There were a couple communities who came up to me right off the bat and said they did not want to be included because they did not want to provide models for free, which is totally understandable. So I said that's totally fine. I will just make that known because anyone using 3D models has to be using something that is freely available, so people can't abuse it or make
So,
money and stuff.
so what I'm hearing is you support starving artists.
Oh no!
I'm sorry. Sorry. Continue.
There you go.
Yes. Uh,
All right. I mean, that's fair enough. That sounds like all good plans.
yeah.
How many entries in total did you receive?
That is a good question. Let me double check. I used to have the number off the top of my head, but to be honest, it's been quite a
I'm
while.
looking at the entry list document and went just to the bottom. It says 183. Does that sound correct to you?
That is whatever's on the entry list document is whatever's on there. That is absolutely correct.
Wow,
That's awesome.
that is a remarkably impressive amount of entries. For context, anyone wondering, the only one of the Canon contest entry or Canon contests that got close to or over that amount was the Haga contest, which is not a fair comparison to make because we allowed people to enter up to 4 mocks at a time. So the entry list obviously exceeded, as far as individual creations, 400. So as far as an individual character contest, that is astounding. It's a really, really great metric.
That is,
I mean, yeah.
yeah, that's definitely very good.
It's
Oh,
all
man.
thanks to the community who kind of came forwards and entered with this. it actually was a little bit overwhelming to me as well because I did not expect that many entries, and there was a little bit of a period where I was like, how on earth am I going to actually do the voting for this? Because there's going to be like 100 polls.
Yeah, that's a
and whatnot.
daunting prospect. Huh?
Yeah.
Oh God. Well, I mean, I didn't even realize it was that much. I had forgotten that was the final
that
number.
was-
That's incredibly impressive for the
was
first one
very
and for
painful.
it being a Fanon contest.
Yeah, it was.
That definitely bodes well.
It was very painful putting together the polls. A lot of manual, like just let me grab the person's image and put it on this document, sort of thing. And
We
just
definitely
over and
relate to
over
that.
again.
Yeah, we
Oh,
especially with the
Not
Haga
a good
contest, we spent hours
Oh,
doing
boy.
that.
I
The
bet.
Haga contest was painful, and then when I tried to do it and step in and help, I made mistakes, and then we had to like take the polls down, put them back up, and people had already voted. It was like,
It was
Oh,
it definitely it spirals sometimes. So
yeah.
how did you decide to do the polls?
So the polls, this was actually something that I messed up for the first off. Was I started off by just using straw poll, which somebody recommended to me, and I tested in a very small vacuum, where I tested it with myself, just on a different account and whatnot, trying to do voting, and it seemed like it was working. But as soon as I launched the video to vote on straw poll, the results coming in were incredibly questionable because for one. Strawpoll did not let me log in. There was some issue with their login process. So I could not actually see the results. I was just as blind as everyone else. I could only see the results when you like vote yourself and click view results. And for whatever reason, it seemed that people's results just were not showing up, and people were seeing different things in the results, and it was very worrying at first. And so this was I was literally I think I was on the cruise ship or something. I was on vacation, and I literally was like, it was like 4 a.m. and I was like, oh geez, like I'm gonna have to either just call it off and like do something else or just figure out something ASAP. So what I
God.
did is I think within the first 30 minutes, I took down every poll and then just made more polls on Google polls and Google Forms instead, which was a very high stress, like 1 hour long period where I was like commenting like coming soon, like poll links coming soon, like please stand by everyone. Um, like bear with me. And I was just like frantically because everyone else was asleep, and I was like, oh, gee, I got to do this like right now. So I was just up like sitting like, but like just manually doing the polls, and finally got it up on Google Forms. Thankfully, no more issues with that. One slight issue, which was the controversy that we'll talk about later. But for the most part, Google Forms was fantastic. And I plan to use it going forwards. Thank God I was able to fix that and catch it when I did. I think someone mentioned in my Discord that the results weren't adding up because he was with his friend and they compared results and it was showing different things, and that really freaked me out. But
Yeah,
thankfully,
no, I
it was,
can
yeah,
definitely understand there.
big damage control period.
Yeah. Good job though. Yeah,
Fair
that was some quick thinking, and
That definitely was.
glad you were able to pull that off.
Pull that off.
Pull that out, yeah.
I meant to do.
So
I
funny.
didn't mean to do that.
Big funny, big comedy. All right. Is it time? Do you want to get into the drama? Do you want to get into the controversy? Are we at that point? What else happened in between? Nothing, right? Like how long did the entry period run for? Like a few weeks?
Yeah, I think the entry period was 3 weeks, and then I needed like a week, if I recall correctly, to set up the polls and do everything, which was a very high stress week where I just spent hours and hours doing stuff, but got it out, and then it was just another, I guess, what was it? I think another 3 weeks of voting or something like that, maybe a little less. But it was a very, very like rapid round of voting because there were so many rounds, and I didn't want it to feel so drawn out for the voting process. But that was how it was. And then thanks to Meso, you really came in clutch with me, and by referring me to MTMNC, I think, or
Yep.
something like that. Yeah,
Yeah. Morris the Matt Nui Cow. We knew him as Infrared.
Yeah, there's multiple
Yes.
names.
Incredibly helpful. He wrote a script to process my output from Google Sheets, and just spit out who the winners are. Did it manually for round one, and that was painful. It was almost like I thought it was almost not humanly possible to do that. So
Yeah, I
thank
wish
you
we'd
so much.
like I wish I'd gotten in contact with you sooner because like voting and the voting processes were like the number one thing in those like last few months that was a point of discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm definitely glad he was able to help with
That
that. Dude's a legend.
that was
Yes.
honestly
I mean,
that was the last big thing that had been ironed out before the contests ended, and it was gonna be implemented, like brand new script. It was the
oh
best
boy.
it could have been right before they ended. It was in the interim, so it sounds like that at least gets to live on in a way.
No,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh
that's
my God.
it makes me feel like all those talks were not a complete waste of time if you're able to
Thank you
benefit
guys
from it.
so much for referring me. I mean, it was literally like magic. I had the results. I opened up Terminal. I ran his script, and it just spat out the winners. It was like, this guy is the winner. I was like, yes, please.
Yeah.
There you
Thank
go.
you. Yes. So incredibly helpful for that.
Cool, cool. Let us delve into controversies.
Oh, Lord.
We had more than we could count.
Yeah.
You had two. What
Yes.
are they? What's the public one first?
Yeah, so the more, I mean, both of them are somewhat public depending on what circles you're in, but I'll talk about the more public one that a lot of people were talking about. And that was, so essentially, I was going through the entries right before the finals round. This was the semifinals. And I noticed that one entry had received a very strange, I guess, the votes it had received were very odd. And pulling it up, they had votes that were all within the same few minutes or seconds, and they were people essentially were asked to name their first, second, third, and fourth choice. And all of these votes were for first choice, that entry, second choice, that entry, third choice, that entry, and fourth choice. You guessed it, it was the same entry. And all of these were coming in within seconds or minutes of each other, and I thought that was incredibly odd. So I think I could have handled this a little bit better, to be honest. What I did was that I made the decision to disqualify the entry because of what appeared to be vote brigading or manipulation or of some kind. And before I did this, I did crunch the numbers. If I removed the questionable votes that had it for first, second, third, and fourth choice, it would not have made it to finals anyway. So I think what I should have done is I should have made an announcement and just said, I'm removing these questionable votes and we'll just let it play out as is. Making the choice to disqualify it, I think, ruffled some feathers in certain circles of the community. But if it happens again, I absolutely will just remove the questionable votes, especially because there was a big concern that people were saying, which is a fair point, that it could be used to weaponize against certain entries. Like, let's say, for example, oh, I don't want that guy to win. So I'm going to write a bot that makes it seem like he's cheating and voting for himself a ton of times to get him disqualified, which does set a precedent, right? So I in the future, I definitely will not be doing it like that, and I will just be kind of being transparent and saying I'm going to remove these votes, but keeping it in the running. Again, would not have made a difference for this time, but that's what it was. So almost immediately, I got contacted by the user, and this was, I mean, I was really happy with how it eventually ended up. He explained to me his point of view. He said he did not know that this was happening. What he had done was that he had asked his friends and family to vote for him on Facebook. He didn't realize it wasn't allowed. He said not all of them were Bionicle fans, but they just wanted to support him, so they voted for him en masse, which he said, like, he was really, really apologetic. He totally understood what had happened and felt bad about what happened, and said it wouldn't happen again. Essentially what had happened is that he had gotten a lot of friends and family or people that he knew to vote for him, even if they weren't Bionicle fans. So I explained, I understand how you may not have thought that was an issue, but I guess the point of the contest is so Bionicle fans and not just like people's popularity would determine who the winner would be and who I guess the Fanon winner would be, which is why the entry had to be removed. I did not ban him from re-entering. In fact, I hope that he does re-enter because his mock was a cool mock. I feel bad about how it went down for him because it seems that he really did not mean for any of it to happen, and now he understands and won't do it again.
Interesting.
However, yeah, this issue was, I guess, blown to, I guess, almost kind of blown out of proportion by certain other users who I also felt quite bad about because they're pretty prominent in the community, and I do respect what they do. I don't want to name any names or call anybody out, but
We'll ask
there
later.
were certain
No, I'm
users
kidding. I
um,
have my guesses,
yeah,
but continue.
who came into the Discord and were incredibly upset that this happened, and from their point of view, I disqualified the entry from an entire country. They were like, "Why did you disqualify this country's entry?" So that was incredibly odd to me because I did not realize that this was. I was just very confused by like what they were talking about. I guess
The representative of the nation of,
yeah.
I don't know, Portugal.
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
the
So I was like,
Portugal
oh,
entry.
Honestly,
I
Chris, I
didn't
thought it was really
realize
rude.
that
I thought it was awful that you disqualified anyone from Wakanda from participating. Like,
yes.
really?
Bruh.
Yeah, you got me.
Interesting.
No, but so there was something like, why did you disqualify the blank team? And I was like, what the team? I did not know. As far as I knew, there were multiple people from that country who entered. Like I didn't know this was like a group effort.
It's weird.
But it was very odd, and it was very unfortunate because the user in question I do respect a lot. They do really cool Bionicle stuff, and I feel bad because I don't think they like me very much anymore. Because I essentially was just trying to like say like I'm sorry, there's nothing else I can do, and they were incredibly upset about it. So I'm sorry for that. I handled it I think in the only way I possibly could have. I don't know what else I could have done differently, but that stirred up like some trouble. But I guess what was really great was that the original user in question who had submitted the entry literally messaged me and was like, "I'm sorry for like whatever this person is saying. Like I'm gonna talk to them. That's not how I feel. Like."
So was it
It's
just
just
like
that
a
world.
friend of theirs or like
I
a
believe it
community
was
member?
just a friend of theirs.
So
Yeah.
I'm a little
Interesting.
unclear about exactly what happened. So you disqualified an entry,
Yeah.
but it was like from a team of people.
Don't know. Like that like
I presume
so
that ties
sorry.
into like who entered it, which is why he probably doesn't want to like get into that. But let's just say hypothetically it was a representative of a certain site, and
Yeah,
then
let's say for example, like the America team, like you've banned the
Oh,
like why
okay.
did you disqualify the America team? And I was like, well, I didn't know there, so I didn't know that it
yeah,
was a team.
you're
I
not
thought it
you're
was
not
just
really
one
looking at
group.
it like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um.
I see.
Yeah.
So and then what was the reason for disqualification? Was it just that the entry didn't follow guidelines?
No, it was because of the questionable voting that it received. There were
Oh, I see.
hundreds of entries that were within seconds, if not minutes of each other, that all had it for first, second, third, and fourth place.
So this is another
Hundreds?
one. This is separate from the first one.
No, this is the
No,
one I'm
it's the same
talking about
one.
that was
It's the
disqualified.
same. It's the same one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, what he's talking about is just it's the fallout from that.
Oh,
The
I-
scrutiny the
I
decision received.
Okay,
Sorry,
my
I
bad.
wasn't clear on that.
No. I think I might have missed a part.
Yeah,
You're all good.
You were pretty clear. LJ's like fading into the ether.
Sorry. Yeah, no.
For cup building.
You're all fine. That is totally on me. Continue.
Now, I have some thoughts or some questions, but I guess like
I'd love to hear what you guys think of this.
Well, I don't know. I get the perspective that it was bad to disqualify the entry because there's no way to essentially prove intent. Like someone mentioned, it could be used to weaponize. That's
Yeah.
absolutely true.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point to consider. It makes sense that you wouldn't think about it like that because you don't have ulterior motives in mind, but some people definitely could. But I'm curious, LJ, because it's been a long time and I've forgotten about this. Did we have any rules against like campaigning for votes?
It's actually funny you ask because I have the rule set right here, and it's Rule 12, and it says verbatim, "We have no rules against vote brigading. However, if any member or participant in either the mock or art portion of any of these contests, or an unrelated party who is voting in the polling portion, is found to be offering compensation, i.e., money, artwork, prizes, etc., for votes, then their account will be suspended for the duration of said contest, their entry will be disqualified if they entered, and their vote will be subtracted from the final tally. Repeated offenses will result in a permanent ban."
So the line we drew in the sand was basically do what you want to do, but don't like compensate
it's
for it.
essentially, so the way that we looked at it was like how BZP used to run it, because on BZ Power, when they did contests, any contests, accounts, public posts, they had like banners on their posts, so you had like an entire description field where you could post an image on every one of your posts. It's like a signature, but it just attaches to every single post. And so what people would do is they'd make a banner of their mock and they'd say, vote for entry so and so in this contest. And
Almost
it was
like a billboard baked into each post.
and then they would go.
I've seen that. I've been around BZP. I think I know what you're talking
yeah.
about, like their signature type thing. Like,
Their signature. There we go. And so then they'd go around and they'd post across the website, and they'd be advertising. They'd be running a campaign for their entry. And the way we looked at it is, well, we sure as heck can't stop anyone from doing that. And we kind of like the idea of a campaign. Which,
same here. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like that to us was fine. The problem was when people tried to incentivize it to tamper with things. So, because we did run into that issue in the first contest, Tuyet contest, where somebody went to their like 12,000 Twitter followers and was like, if you vote for this entry, I'll enter you into a raffle to win some artwork. And then we were flooded with a bunch of like one-off accounts that were just being made solely to vote for the one entry, and they were never going to participate again because they weren't Bionicle fans. They were just people that were, there on behalf of the guy who was trying to screw with things.
Yeah.
Interesting. So at what stage, because I don't know, I definitely see where you're coming from. I have no I have no desire to criticize the rule. I think it's a fine rule. I'm curious of like how it would be implemented, about like vote brigading being disallowed. Like, I presume you just take it on if there's a suspicious amount of votes in a certain proximity, or if you get sent evidence that there's like an off-site campaign on social media or whatever, then it would be, because like there's really no way to abjectly, verify that one way or the other.
Well, the thing is, I have nothing against like campaigning for votes. Like, I think it's really cool that people will like post on Instagram saying like, "Oh, go vote for my entry" and stuff like that.
But like in the Bionicle community.
Yeah, in the Bionicle community. What was odd to me about this one was that they were in rapid succession of each other, and they also like. I would presume that if you were like a Bionicle fan or something, even if you wanted to support your friend and whatnot and vote at first choice, at least you would look at the other entries and say, okay, well, I could go with this one too. I'll vote this one second, or vote this one third, or whatnot. But every single one, like first, second, third, and fourth, were for this entry, and that was what struck me as a little bit strange. Which is why I at first kind of messaged the volunteer team and was like, what do you guys make of this? Like, do you think we should like ask them what happened, or like what should we do? And the decision was made that since it was so close to finals and we weren't sure how long it would take to kind of untangle this, was just to remove it, because if we had removed the votes but left it in, it would not have made a difference.
Right.
Yeah, and then after talking to the user, it seems that what they did was that they just asked their friends and family on Facebook or something to vote for them, and just got it circulated around a ton of like non-Bionicle fans, which is why no one actually cared about the other entries. They only were voting first choice for this one.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I know, there was no like bots or like stuff like that used, which was our first concern, was that it was bots because of the frequency and like oddity of how like they were in like bursts of like 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, like just all the same in a row.
Makes sense.
I will not, like, obviously, like, I'm not pointing fingers. They told me that it wasn't bots or nothing of that sort was used, and I have no reason to not believe it. But that was just what we had initially believed, which is why it was pulled.
I think that's a reasonable conclusion to make. I mean, I get why you would do it. I definitely think the revised way of handling it is definitely better going forward, and it should invite less scrutiny. But I get why you would do what you did.
I would even go as far as to suggest not making public mention of the removal of any fraudulent votes until the contest is over. Now, there are definitely some that would take issue with this for two reasons. One, because I'm saying it, and two, because they might feel that it's an issue of transparency. I actually feel that it's better to wait until after the cards have settled to let everyone know, like, hey, we removed some fraudulent votes that were being done. You know, there was this effort. I definitely wouldn't say which entry they were for, at the very least.
Yeah.
So, like, hey, entry 5 of poll 2 got 800 fraudulent votes, and we removed them all.
Yeah.
Because then it's just going to draw attention to, I wonder why. Why did entry 2? And then it incites people to do stuff. So, if you do opt to say, hey, we removed XYZ entries before the contest ends, at the very least, don't mention which entry it's from.
That is a really good idea. I also wanted to say I did feel bad about how it went down because I think the user messaged me and they were really, really apologetic and said, like, this is kind of like ruined my reputation in the community because now I'm like known as the guy who like caused people to brigade for votes, and I obviously did not intend any of that. And I did feel really bad about that. So I think in the future I would not like explicitly say whose it was if it ever happens again.
Yeah, I think that would probably be best. That's actually one of the reasons why this is something we learned from BZP a little indirectly. So
we learned a lot of stuff from BZP.
Yeah. BZP, they had an issue a while back where, okay, so originally they had all of the entries that were listed on a topic, you vote for them, and the names of the creators were listed. Eventually, they switched away from that to where the names were hidden. And they did this so that it wasn't, like, you weren't voting for the name, you were voting for the entry. And that's the direction we ended up going. We opted to just have the entry. We'd link back to it, of course, but it would you just see the entry. So, like, if I entered into something, which I would never do, then you wouldn't have people voting to mess with mine or voting for mine because it's me. They would just be voting on the merit of the model.
Right.
But, and I mean, from the way it sounds, it's a mistake, and I certainly would judge harsher those that are giving this individual grief over this, for this, because it's not it's not that serious of a thing to be so worked up over when it's pretty clear that it wasn't an intentional, thing. Like, they weren't actually trying to be a problem. I do find it kind of funny. You were talking a little bit about, oh goodness, what was it? The outcome, it not affecting the final outcome. And we had conversations about that when we got the new voting system all ironed out, because we reran all the contests. Not fun, by the way. And there were like a handful of discrepancies, and we were able to determine that they wouldn't have affected the final outcome. And there were all these different reasons why that we were able to articulate. And we got pushback for that because we were told, but you can't absolutely say that they wouldn't have affected the final outcome. And I hear you say that, and my immediate instinct is, oh yeah, no, I believe you. Yeah, I mean, it's, if you say it, I believe that you're 100% being honest. And I, seeing the winner, believe that too. Like, this would have been who I voted for. I voted through some of the polls. I will admit I couldn't make my way through all of them for a handful of reasons, but we can discuss that later.
Totally understandable.
But this was my favorite entry. Ibuki is a remarkable mockist, and I 100% believe that if the canon contest were to continue, you would have seen Ibuki's name winning multiple of them.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
For me, like, I get the ethos completely of the decision when it was made. I think it's more interesting to talk about the I don't know, just the difference in in the concept of vote brigading in general. Like I don't know, I
Yeah.
find it fascinating how like that's the one rule I think out of all the ones you have that like we were more lenient on. And I think that's interesting to
enough,
ponder.
Yeah.
Because usually it's the opposite way. But I mean, it makes sense, right? You want to keep it purely Bionicle community.
Which
I get where your head's at.
I don't have an issue with that. I think that makes perfect sense. It's just a different way of doing things. I don't think either or is better or worse.
I do have a question about it though. Just to, like
Yeah.
be one of those people who thinks through loopholes for a second. So what if they get a friend of theirs to put it up on social media, but there's no proof that they directly like, I'm just not this person, but a
Well,
hypothetical in the
apparently that's-
future.
Apparently, that's exactly what happened to this person. Is he said that, like he said, friends of his like put it up on social media, and that's where like a lot of the votes came from. Is what I was told.
Because I guess let me just paint you a hypothetical situation, right?
Yeah.
So say unlike a blitz of entries that happened in this go round, what
Yeah.
if throughout the contest there's social media posts on, the person's Facebook, to their school friends, to their family, it's like go vote on this. And it does not happen all at once, so there's
Yeah.
no red flag that gets sent your way.
Yeah.
But it's something that, I don't know, maybe say a day before the polls go up, someone sends you a link and it's like, hey, you might want to be aware of this. This was posted multiple times on social media throughout the duration of the contest's run. It doesn't look like it's by the person, it's not their account, but it was still posted up there. What would you do?
That is a really good question, and I'm going to be completely honest. I don't really think there's much I could do at that point. From my point of view, I don't listen. Like, just like saying it, I don't know. Like, I don't really care if people necessarily like ask their friends and family to vote. What I do care about is if people like only vote for that entry as first, second, third, and fourth choice and nothing else.
Yeah.
Because I
Makes
feel
total
like
sense.
that's what defeats the purpose of the contest is if you show up to only vote for one entry. Like the point of ranking is so people can like take a look at what else is out there and do that. So I really probably would only disqualify entries that vote for the same thing, like first, second, third, and fourth. I may even look into like a way to just prevent that from being possible because I don't think that it makes sense. Like
Yeah, it
if
doesn't make
something's
sense
your
at all.
first choice, just mark it first and leave it be.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, like that is really the only case where I think this would come into play.
So
Like, if
you would
someone-
definitely err more towards the spirit of the law versus the letter of the law in that case.
Yeah, like my goal here is to just like make these as inclusive as possible and get as many people involved as possible. And I mean, hey, if someone sends it to one of their friends and like they aren't a Bionicle fan before, but then they look at the entries and are like, "Oh wow, this is pretty cool," and they look into it. I mean, that's a win for everyone. So I think like it's not a big deal to me if people vote in good faith and vote for multiple entries as their like first, second, third, or fourth. It is not a big deal, but like it is an issue if like there's just a slew of votes for only one entry for first, second, third, and fourth, which I think is a pretty isolated case and hopefully won't happen again. I mean, I'm optimistic. Maybe it will, but I mean, if it happens again, I'll just remove those duplicate entries, and I think I've made that pretty clear on the next rules.
Very cool, very cool. I mean, I agree with that take. I think like a lot of times in our contests we had these, very convoluted rules, which in hindsight, yeah, we could have probably like phrased them a bit better, or at least made this more clear. At the time, we were again thinking of the, catch any and all loopholes kind of mantra. I remember one of the most divisive rules we had was how did we even phrase it, LJ? It was the one about like dual molding colors.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Like,
So I only have the current version of that rule because we amended it again.
Yeah. It was something along the lines of you cannot have a piece that has been painted, twice with two colors.
I remember this. This was during the Artaka thing, wasn't it?
Yes,
it was.
Yep.
I remember this.
Yep. So it was a pill because the spirit of it was to prevent complex and difficult to replicate patterns. So
Yeah.
in this, the idea was, so we never mandated replicability. However, we did kind of like make it a thing. The rules are set up in a way that allowed it to be possible, because obviously a lot of people really wanted to make the winning entries. That's a big component of canon contests. So the idea behind it was, all right, well, if I'm Jeremy Fitzgerald and I'm like, I don't know, 10, and I see the winning entry for an Artaka, and he's got all these intricate, very specific runes and patterns and shapes, I'm not confident enough in my artistic ability to replicate that the way that it has been done.
Not everyone's a Michelangelo, basically.
Yeah, and otherwise I'd have to pay people, and there's no guarantee anyone is going to actually do that, and then there's no guarantee it's going to be cheap. So it was an accessibility thing. So
and then for me, I had my own concerns, kind of were separate from that, which was like, you know, the torso prints for the Toa Masters from G2.
Yes.
I was like, I don't want that. I don't want scenarios where people take, you know, giant flat pieces and just paint like murals on them that people have to like replicate, because I could have already seen a scenario, because again, this was my envision every loophole brain. It was very much like, oh, well, if I take the Hulk torso from CCBS and I section it off into like scales, you know, and I have each scale be a different color to make it look like it's more intricate than it actually is. Well, is that like, is it a mock contest or is it an art contest?
Yeah.
But in hindsight, the incorrect way we decided to have that be a catch-all was, you know, you can't dual print colors, and that kind of came into issue with things like Mask of Creation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Which I think was a smart move.
Yeah. In hindsight, I definitely wish I had just like put the rule in that language and just been like, this is what we're trying to avoid. Instances that do things like this will be handled on a case-by-case basis. But then again, then you run into the thing of people would have rioted in the streets if we had disqualified something in that subjective manner. So it was kind of a lose-lose.
I
feel that.
There was a heavy emphasis on trying to stray away from subjective disqualifications and trying to make them as rule-based as possible, which, because, you know, that's how the first controversy started. It was trying to be hands-off, but that didn't work.
Yeah.
So,
we got a comment from Suddenly Oranges about a while back. I want to read. My BZP signature was always removed by mods because it was too big with too many things. Keep in mind, I was 10. That is funny. A big mood. They had very strict signature guidelines, and I can relate to that 100%. Also, thank you for listening, Oranges. Hope you're doing well. Well, that was fascinating. I very much enjoyed hearing about that. What's Controversy 2?
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. Yeah. This is getting into some like fairly dice. I don't like. This is a controversy that I think personally to me was. I mean, it's pretty hard to get me like actually upset, but this was one that like genuinely really upset me to my core, and like I basically had to take like a break from running the contest after it, because like I just couldn't believe that I was interacting with.
Are you sure you even want to talk about it?
Oh, I'm fine talking about it. Like, I was just, like, very, very angered during the day that it happened. And, like, probably engaged in arguments where, like, it would have been the right choice just to, like, leave. But,
man, I'm feeling the nostalgia, because I've been there.
This isn't nostalgia!
No, it's not nostalgia.
Nostalgic moment.
It's PTSD is what it is, but continue.
So what had happened is, first of all, I don't want to name any names here. I don't want anyone to go on like a witch hunt or anything like that. I just kind of want to give it from my perspective and talk about what happened. Because there was a lot of like misinformation thrown about around it and everything surrounding what happened. So what had happened is that, as you know, I did an open call for help with the contest, which includes prize making, reviewing entries, and whatnot. I kind of alluded to this earlier, but I did not vet or even remotely look into anybody that I accepted. If they wanted to help, I was like, great.
I think I know.
So there was a user who reached out to me on Instagram, and they said that they could help out with making a prize for the next round. They had just gotten into resin printing, and it looked like they were doing some pretty cool stuff. I am all for more resin makers in the community. So I said, well, that's amazing. Thank you so much. Welcome aboard. And so the user joined my Discord and eventually was marketing their resin making, I guess, services to other people, which was fantastic. I think it's great that there are more people doing stuff like that in the community. Until at one point, I got a message from one of my mods, and he had actually placed an order with this person, which is the only reason why he even noticed this. But in the person's bio, they said they were a proud member of a particular hate group.
Oh shit!
Yeah, that's about what I figured.
Oh no, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I figured.
Personally, I had never heard of this. I had not heard of the hate group. I didn't even know what it was. But I looked it up and I was like, oh, okay, well that's not good. I looked it up on Wikipedia, and the group is defined as a hate group specifically against women. And so I was like, okay, well, first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove this person from anything to do with the contest. I'm also going to ban them from the server, and I'm going to explain why. So essentially, I did all of this, and I put out a message in my server, and this got a little bit more backlash than I thought it would, where people were like, well, did he say anything against women? Or what? He might just have it in his bio, but did he actually do anything?
No way.
What?
No way.
Yeah. So this is the part that genuinely really upset me. So eventually, we're just getting started. So he comes back under a different account and is like, "Why did you ban me?" And I'm like, "Hey, this is why you're banned." This was very public. This was in the general chat of my Discord, and he literally says no, I don't stand against women. I just don't want women to control me, or something like that.
Oh my
gosh! I'm like, I'm not part of a hate group. That's just how I live my life. And I'm like, listen, and he's like, just because it's in my bio doesn't mean I agree with everything that's been said about them. And I'm like, listen, man,
dude.
I can put in my bio, proud member of KKK, and if someone asks me, I like to wear white clothes. That's the only reason why. I don't believe in anything else therein. But if I put it in my bio, people will assume that the other stuff comes with it. And
are you serious right now? Are you being for real?
That was obviously an extreme example, but that was his argument. He was I'm not part of a hate group. So
that's
I'm
hilarious.
like, oh my goodness. Okay, so we got rid of him. I thought that it was all over. That would not have been I thought it was done. And then he goes, I'm a part of a lot of different Discord servers, but I'm not super active. I just kind of randomly join things that people send me invites to. In a particular server, I believe it is. I don't see anything wrong with saying what the server was, because it's not like everyone in the server was bad. It was just a couple people in it that I had conversations with. It was the Russian 3D modeling server. I don't even know when I joined this.
I have heard many stories about that server. Oh boy, carry on.
I get a ping there, and I just see a ton of people personally attacking me. They're like, oh, blah blah DuckBricks is making stuff up about this guy, and he just came up with it to get rid of him because he just doesn't like competition in the resin making space. And who knows where DuckBricks actually gets his money. Oh, he's just spoiled. And I'm like, it says in my bio that I work as a manager at Microsoft. If you wanted to look up where I get the money to fund my Lego, you can do that. I didn't even care about that stuff. You know what, they can say whatever they want about me. But what was really upsetting was that they were saying that members of my mod team were banning people who were his friends just because they were his friends and they came in to support them, which was just false. That did not happen. A friend of the users did come into the server to defend him, and I said, look, you've done nothing wrong. My decision is final. You can stay in here if you want, but the discussion's closed. And he left of his own accord, and they were and he just went to the other server and was like, I was banned because of this. So there was just a lot of like misinformation being spread. So I just jumped in and was like, "That's not what happened. The user was banned because he has this in his bio." And what I was incredibly surprised to find was not only support for the user, but support for the group he was a part of. And saying, I think the direct quote was, "There's nothing wrong with being racist or sexist if you keep it to yourselves in certain circles." That was one of them.
What?
Oh my goodness.
Well, the hate speech
smokes.
isn't mine, bro. I'm just holding it for a friend.
Yeah, I personally am racist towards certain groups, but I keep it to myself, and there's nothing wrong with that.
What?
Dude.
Oh boy. Yeah.
What?
So against my better judgment, I was like, okay, like, like this is ridiculous. Like, I'm gonna like try to like talk to these people.
Oh, yep.
So
no,
I get
That
no.
was your
Yeah, that's when you lost.
no,
Yeah.
no.
So at first, so let me just paint the picture here. I was out with my friends. We were in Rome. We were like literally on a tour, and I'm like, guys, can you give me a second? I just go and like I spend the rest of my day just like sitting down, like talking to these people on Discord. I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Like it was
Yep.
this. It was like I just got really drawn into it. It was
Oh.
incredibly upsetting. And the one guy was saying, "Oh, feminism is worse than being a Nazi," and like I was like, "You're a bad person."
Oh my gosh.
And they genuinely believed in what they were saying, and for me it was incredibly upsetting to, I mean, maybe this doesn't even have to do with the contest, but like I do want to say here that like I personally have no problems making enemies with people who are racists or
Yes.
sexist. I have no problem making enemies with them. By all means, like drag my name through the mud in your circles. Like I bring it on. Like I'm happy making enemies with people like that.
If you don't like me, that means I'm doing something
Yeah.
right because
Oh
you're
my
human
gosh.
filth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there it is.
Yeah, so that was a very a discussion that had nothing to do with Bionicle, nothing to do with the Canon contest. That was incredibly upsetting to me personally. That people, I guess, out there were still believing this, were very vehemently defending what they believed, which was quite shocking to me because, I mean, I guess from the background that I come from, like, generally, like, most people aren't like this. I don't
Yeah.
think I've really met anyone in person who's like that. And just to see like so many people, like it was not just like one or two. There were like quite a large number of people who were all backing each other up and like say like it felt like I was literally the only person in the server who was against them, and like everybody was just ragging on me and being like, "Oh, DuckBricks is like he's like canceling us, like oh we're being canceled." It's like you're damn right you are. Like I mean,
It's always very depressing when like your threshold for faith in humanity gets lowered even more.
yeah.
You know, that's a
So
bad
that
feeling.
was the big thing that happened within that circle, and then eventually I was just like, okay, like we're not going to reach an agreement here. I'm not going to change your minds. I'm just going to like leave.
Yeah.
So that's what I did, but that did consume like the better part of my day, which was like quite unfortunate. To all come from the Canon contest, which was
So
quite
was this just centralized to this like Russian 3D modeling server?
for the most part. There were a couple moments like with folks in my server that had not stream, but like we're like having some similar, I guess, questions about like why I had removed this person or like why where the evidence was and whatnot. But most of that was shut down fairly quickly in my own server. It was just kind of around this particular group.
Fair enough.
Mhm.
Wow.
Goodness. Holy smokes,
Yeah.
that went in a direction. Okay, so first of all, at no point would I ever consider that a controversy. That's just a win from you. You pretty well made your stance on how well you're going to tolerate those individuals, which is not at all. And I see that
Yeah.
as an unequivocal victory. That speaks very well to you, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm also very much of the stance that I am not afraid to make enemies with people I believe aren't good. There are still people, like prominent people in the Bionicle community, that I don't think are good people. They very much don't like me, and I think that's totally fine. I think the reasons I
Yeah.
don't like them are a lot more tangible and serious than the reasons they don't like me. because they don't.
I mean, that was always your ethos with our former member, he who must not be named, right?
Wait, well, which
You know,
one?
you
Other
saw,
KI
like-
or original KI?
Original KI.
Original KI, yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, yeah.
Jonathan Juan, you
Oh,
detected the
I remember this.
Yeah.
you detected the awful stuff early on when like nobody else could, and you just got bad vibes.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
You
So, to me, first of all, yeah, I want to echo what Suddenly Oranges is saying in the YouTube chat. He says, internet drama can genuinely impact the psyche in such awful ways. Sucks you had to go through that. And he's totally right. Whenever we went through all of that, every single time, it just wore us down again and again and again. And it was awful. Like, I remember multiple times just having, like, the blood vessels around my eyes. They would just go... And so, like, my eye, like, one eye would just be red. And it wasn't because I was angry. It's because I was under just so much stress from the contest stuff that was happening. And that happened multiple times. And so, yeah, he's right. It can affect you very negatively. And it sucks. But I think...
It was certainly very emotionally draining that day.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it always is. But if it's any consolation, good job. Seriously. Like, good job making that stand and not tolerating that from those people.
Yeah. That's a matter of pride. I'm shocked that it went that way. Like I knew kind of what direction it was going. I was like, oh, someone probably like did something, you know, that was questionable or suspect, but I didn't know it would escalate to that degree.
Yeah, holy smokes.
It's just in my bio. It doesn't mean I agree with it.
Dude, that kills me.
That is comical to the highest degree.
I also personally don't have much of an issue with calling people out for their bad behavior. I'm not going to endorse or encourage you to do that. I'm just saying that's never been something I've been terribly shy of doing. The only times that I don't is when it would inevitably cause more trouble than it's ultimately worth. And that's the only reason I'm not naming a couple of names right now. Or if I don't want more attention to go to that person than is necessary. I think we definitely did make that an exception for people that were active participants in things. So like, what was his name? Underscore Double, the winner of the mock portion of the Tuyet contest, and Botamogna.
Elric's not Tuyet.
Sorry, thank you.
I know something happened there, but I don't know the full story. So I definitely, like, if you could run me through like what exactly happened with that. Like,
shortwave going by. He's a bully. He went into a bunch of Bionicle Discord servers. He would bully people. He would demean other mockists in public servers. He very specifically targeted Connor, the gentleman who made the mock for Artaka, the winning entry. Which he did that in the Helrix contest, and in the very next contest, Connor ended up winning, which was cathartic as all get out. But... he was just rotten. He had a rotten attitude about absolutely everything. He was toxic. He was vitriolic, and we called that out very publicly multiple times. And in fact, in the end, I think that factored into why he ended up getting disqualified from the rest of the contests. It wasn't.
Yeah, I mean that and another bunch of smaller things, like petty things.
Yeah, that's why I was like. It factored in. It wasn't the end-all be-all reason, but it definitely had an impact.
I see.
Yeah.
So, like, stuff like that. There are other people that we had to deal with that were just miserable people, and some people that are still active in things are just bad people, and you
can't win every fight, but you can choose. You can definitely choose who to engage with and who to support and who to cast your lot in with.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm just glad we never had to deal with abject like hate groups.
Yeah.
That's messed up, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. It is what it is. I like it. It's just, I don't know. I don't think it could have been avoided. I'm just like kind of shocked that it still is a thing to that extent, especially within circles that I'm like a part of, like the Bionicle fan community and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Always pretty disturbing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Wow.
Well, I mean, if those were the two worst things that happened to you, I'd say you got off pretty good.
Yeah.
One that you stood against, and another that was just an honest mistake.
Yeah.
Not bad. Good stuff, man.
Wow.
Hopefully it won't happen again. I certainly will be like, I don't even know about if vetting is the right word, but like at least I'll read people's bios before I'm like, yeah, sure, come help. Like,
Yeah, I mean, there's a point where like you can't do extensive background checks on people for just like volunteering to help audit a contest. But yeah, bio is a pretty good place to.
yeah, I mean, to be honest, I
start.
probably wouldn't have like I don't even. I'm so like not like in that world that like I probably wouldn't have even like if I had read his bio beforehand, like I probably wouldn't have even known what it was. Like I would have been just like, oh, okay, I don't know what that is. Like whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't know if there was anything I could have done. I mean, I'm just glad that somebody noticed and messaged me about it. That like this could potentially be a big problem. And I was like, yeah, you're darn right.
Also,
it is.
what a weird thing for someone of that ilk to do, right? Like they already don't like women. So the first thing they want to do is to go to a Bionicle contest to help vet entries for a female character. Like,
Oh,
like, what? I don't get the logic, but you know what? I don't get the base logic either. So,
yeah. I mean, and this one wasn't even vetting it. This one was making a prize for it. So this was even like to another
Oh.
level of like
yeah,
involvement.
that
So,
still doesn't make.
yeah.
That's so weird.
Yes, very very odd. And the funny thing is like they even the argument that they're like, oh, I don't actually follow what they say. Like I'm not a supremacist. I just don't like women. I was like, well, I mean that's the same thing. Like you're
I'm not a
like, it's
sexist.
just so-
I just think women are worse than men.
I just don't want them to control my life, and I'm like, it's the same thing. Like, what are you like? What is this art? Like, I don't know.
That is
I don't
awful.
know.
Actual lunacy.
If I wasn't so closely tied to it, like I would think it's funny. Like it's almost like something you would see in like a comedy show or something like that. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. It almost feels like satire. Like
Yeah, sometimes it's weird the heights that people will go to. You know, it seems unrealistic, but people definitely do exist like that.
Yeah.
Unfortunate though it is.
yeah. But that was the only big thing that like genuinely upset me about the contest, and like and again it takes like a good deal to actually upset me, but I think it was called for in this case.
I
But besides
100%.
that, everything was pretty smooth, which I was quite happy and surprised by.
Good stuff.
I'm glad. Like when I didn't know about this, so I feel like our roles have swapped. So like I didn't know about the controversies, and now I'm just learning about it. I'm like, oh snap! But even still, there were so few, and they're very understandable. And when I saw the contest had wrapped, and I didn't know about the controversies, I was like, man, I'm really happy for him. I'm really happy that
Thank you.
it worked out, and I still am. I'm really happy that it worked out so well. I obviously I don't know if there's ever going to be a time where I look back on our contests and not have just not feel kind of, I don't know what the right word.
It's a negative cocktail of emotions.
Yeah. And like I'm happy with the end result. I'm glad that a lot of people liked them. There was a lot of positivity to them, but the experience that Meso and I went through was just so it was awful. It was physically mentally, emotionally damaging. And to see that you, for the most part, by the vast most part, got to avoid all of that, it makes me really happy.
I mean, I'm really sorry that you guys had to go through what you did. I certainly wasn't deserved. And I'm just very impressed that you kept it going for as long as you did, despite all the vitriol, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a mess, all right. but the ethos behind them at the start, like I don't like how the contests turned into. I don't like that the one of the last lingering memories of the contests is having those like massive 3 hour long
Public trials.
circular public trials in the Reddit server with the Mask of Destiny people. That's not like generally like a happy thing to me, because the initial ethos of the contests that we had was very much like yours. I remember my initial philosophies were like, of course we'll allow 3D printed parts. Why not? Of course we'll allow custom masks and CCBS parts and G2 masks. Why not? It's all about creativity.
Yep.
And then like by degrees, I feel like it just got kind of worn down as it was specialized and got more granular and stuff, to the point where it became not at all what I had initially signed up for. So the fact that you've been able to dial it back, to refocus, to remove the controversial, element of the canon, to just be like celebratory building contests that's still kind of in keeping with what people were prepping to do. I know plenty of people had already built their mocks,
Well, that's why I started with Tuyet. Yeah.
Yeah, giving the people that had already invested so much an outlet to still like showcase what they'd done. Yeah, no, it's great. I'm very happy for you, and I'm glad that aside from the encounter with the hate group, your your mindset has not been damaged too much, because you're very much of pure heart. You need it to be kept. You do not need to be soured like the rest of us and jaded.
Oh,
So
we'll see how the
hopefully
future ones go, but yeah.
I got hope.
Yeah,
I got hope.
I think you'll be off to you're off to a good start. I think it's onward and upward from here. We've heard people say that because there's no canon involved in these, it is less likely to invite vitriol and toxicity. And
that's exactly what I'm thinking as well. Like it's probably the only reason why like I haven't gotten.
That's what we said earlier.
Yeah, and I think that's true, and I think that's awful. Isn't that an awful thing? That like that's not, that is a terrible excuse for why for people acting the way that they did. So it's like, like neither of them should invite any vitriol or any toxicity or anything of the sort. And so
I think it's a balancing act between scrutiny and toxicity, and I think it tipped a little too far at points. I can understand a level of scrutiny.
Yeah,
I
that's
can't
fine.
understand overt like hostility.
Yes. Yeah,
and it makes sense why there would be like attention paid to details and stuff.
Well, yeah, and like I always understood that, but it was the public attacks, the demeaning, the vitriol, the taking it personally, the taking it so seriously that you hated other people.
Yeah.
People said that they hated us. And it's like that there's no good reason or excuse for it. There just simply is not. And
people said a little bit more than just hated us. They're like, oh, they're embarrassments to the Bionicle community.
Yeah, like it was intense.
It's ridiculous that you had to go through that. Absolutely ridiculous.
And,
like that is awful. That should not have happened. Like that's awful.
And that's why I can say confidently, no matter what, I'm so glad that you don't have that and you're not faced with that, and I'm happy and I'm glad. And as always, I know we've told you before, if you ever need anything, you have our support 110%.
Thanks. I mean, I don't know. I wish that it could have been the same for you all. I'm sorry that you had to deal with so much stupidity from the community and so much hate that is really uncalled for. I mean, you guys are trying your best to run this. I'd like to see anybody else like actually try to run a canon contest and not give up like within the first month of like people like going crazy. I don't know. Like it.
I mean, when you do something on a large scale fandom event, there's always going to be stuff that happens. Yeah. I think there's unique things about the Bionicle community in specific, and its relationship with things like authorial intent and the relationship of the creator with the fandom, what is official story. Like there's lots of things that made it elevated, as well as just the nature of the Bionicle community to have like insulated cliques and groups that have their own specific interests and whatnot, which can sometimes clash with certain things. There were a lot of factors. I can clinically break it down and be like, I understand why X happened, why Y happened. We certainly made a million mistakes. I'm not gonna pretend we didn't. But it point is basically it still feels bad in hindsight.
Yeah.
I definitely don't. Even if I understand why, it doesn't make me happy with it.
Yeah.
So I'm very glad you're not dealing with that.
I do like this though. Sunny Oranges in the YouTube chat says, and just want to let me know we're reading everything, of course, but Sunny Oranges, just he's got the great points. It says here, I feel like every time I think about the bad in the Bonkle community, I try to remember the good people, and that helps. And you know what? I want to capitalize on that. I think that is a phenomenal point. So, Chris, is there anyone specific during the run of your contest that you want to shout out, that you really want to bring a focus to, that really helped make it work?
Absolutely. I think, I mean, first of all, I had a really, really amazing review team, and I think I really especially want to call out Fuzzy Fiku is what he goes by on my server. I think it's Mischievous Spectre on Discord. Incredibly helpful in terms of vetting entries and like reviewing stuff. I was shocked, like I would leave Discord, like I would not check Discord for like a day, and then he was being incredibly on top of things in terms of vetting. I also want to thank like a lot of the people who, I mean, 99.9% of everyone who participated were incredibly positive about how it was running. We're uplifting. We're giving like feedback on other people's. Sinova's a digital creator in the community who was really, I mean, he was really great in terms of promoting the contest as well as like uplifting other people's work from what I witnessed in my server, which I thought was really great. To see like people supporting other people's work and rooting for may the best one win and stuff like that. So really great positive energy. And I mean, obviously you guys, I don't think it would have been possible for me to run this without you. First of all, maybe people don't know about this, but before I actually even made the decision to run the contest, we had a call on Discord that was very, very helpful and insightful to me in terms of what to expect, kind of the pitfalls to avoid. You gave me really great tips and tricks on like stuff to do to run it, which I absolutely implemented. So really thankful for your support on this. And I frankly wasn't sure going in what you would think of it. I didn't even know if you guys knew I existed. So I'm just really, really happy that you guys actually reached out and were able to give your advice and help me out, because I've been a TTV fan for a long time. Still am. Still check into a lot of your videos, and especially the Ninjago ones nowadays and whatnot.
I'm glad to hear that, because that's definitely where a lot of the focus is.
Yes. So I am still a watcher, and I am. It is great to interact with you guys, and the help you have given, especially with the voting and the advice, has been invaluable going into this. So thank you guys.
Of course.
You're making me happy, dude. Thank you. I'm glad we could be of service.
Yeah,
we are the stepping stone.
I think someone said in the YouTube chat earlier, our contests walked so that DuckBricks contest could run, and I think that's a great way of putting it.
I am very content with that at the current point. I'm happy that that's the outcome.
Yeah.
Hopefully. I mean, it's been only one round so far. There's still a lot of room, but we'll see how the next ones go, and fingers crossed.
I think a dinosaur contest is going to be fun.
I think
that's a nice like palate cleanser.
I think it's going to be great. I'm very excited to see what people make, because I love dinosaurs. So.
Oh, same. I mean, the reason why I'm running them is because I literally just want to build more Bionicle. Like 99% of the reason is just like I want to build good dinosaurs and like people to just like post breakdowns on how to do it.
So no, that makes total sense. We were robbed. We were robbed of our Botamogna dinosaurs.
You're like You're like the director of Lightyear, the new Lightyear movie. It's like I really
Trans
wanted,
yellow cockpit.
yep, trans yellow cockpit pieces.
So good.
Yes.
I'm glad.
Well,
I'm
I
humbled, and
think,
I'm glad.
I am humbled as well. Thank you very much for the kind words. What do you think, Elge? Are we in wrap up Q&A mode?
I think
Do we have anything else to talk about?
unless there's anything else you wanted to mention about the process, about how things went, Chris. Any aspirations for the future?
I think that that's probably about it. I would love if other, I mean, maybe I'm inviting some potential trouble here, but if anyone else wants to get involved with contributing prizes or anything like that, please reach out to me. Don't put hate groups in your bio, please, or don't support hate groups. But like, please, other than that, please, like we could use the help. There are some potentially bigger contests that I'd love to run and have planned, but just like require so many different prizes that like they're kind of on the back burner for now. So I'd love to like reach out and collaborate with people. If it needs be, I'm happy to pay for prizes. Like I just I'd love to hear from people who want to get involved with the contest because I'm really a big fan of. I wanted to do this because I wanted a chance for the community to really get together and express themselves creatively and to involve as many people as possible and to kind of keep the spirit of building Bionicle alive. And hopefully we've achieved that with the Tuyet with the Tuyet contest. I don't necessarily. I would be surprised if we got even half the number of entries that we got with Tuyet for the Dinosaurs, just because of the nature of it. But
That would make sense.
please keep like submitting entries. Thank you all so much for the people who have submitted and shared the word, and thanks to you guys for spreading the word about this.
Fair
I'm
enough.
excited for the future.
That's as good of an ending as I think we can get. We'll transition to a little bit of Q&A before we properly end the show. We've already got a few questions coming in.
Sure thing.
From Jake Stillwell in the YouTube chat. Question: what are your guys' thoughts on the Legocon event? Did you watch Legocon, Chris?
I did watch Legocon. Did you guys?
We did. We had a big call on the patron server. We watched it live with a bunch of our fans.
Oh,
And we
very
put up a reaction to one part of it, which was the Crystallized trailer.
Yep, Crystallized trailer. Yep. Big hype.
What did you think of the event overall?
I thought it was run a lot better than last year's. That's not really saying much, but I was pleasantly surprised that not everything leaked beforehand. I also found it funny how they made Joel McHale joke about the leaks like in the first minute of it running. Like that's how I knew. I was like, okay, this is gonna be at least they're aware of what they're doing.
Was very self-aware.
Yes.
There were a lot of references. Things like Lego Dimensions was referenced like 3 times.
Every time they were saying that, I was just like mentally like replace Lego Dimensions with Bionicle. It's never coming back.
It's done. Well, or is it? No, we can't talk about that.
Or is it?
We can't.
Or is it?
But Eljay,
Nope.
it's still interesting. No,
It's very interesting. Unfortunately, we cannot discuss it.
touche.
So-
Well, I was very happy with it. Now, I will admit I did not watch last year's, but I've heard the horror stories.
I don't think I did either. I'm comparing it by the horror stories, probably. Like I think I watched clips and was like, "There's nothing of value here."
Yeah,
there's a lot.
It was a giant nothing burger. I'm sure that last year's would have been very good for people that aren't in the know, the Lego know. But
Yeah.
for literally anyone else, for Lego's core audience, it was very frustrating to actually watch.
Yeah, that's what I have heard.
Yeah.
But this year, I think what really helped it was a combo of things. You're very right in saying not everything got leaked ahead of time, which was pretty impressive. It's one of the first times that's actually happened.
Yeah.
The Mario figures didn't. Well, we knew what the Mario figures were, but we hadn't seen pictures of them.
I think we knew everything was coming for the most part. Maybe not the Go Brick Me Barcelona figures. I didn't know that was coming at least.
Yeah,
that's not a huge thing.
The Galaxy Explorer was not leaked. The castle was leaked, but only because it was in like a video. I think like a Lego video, and we hadn't seen the full version of it.
And it seems like that was a preliminary version too, because I actually went back and compared it, and they're quite different. There are some like remarkably similar building techniques, but the front of the castle is like completely different. So
Yeah.
thankfully that one like was different enough.
I think that definitely helped make it an interesting event. I think the presentation, both in terms of the speed, the writing, and also the charisma of the hosts,
Yeah.
definitely helped make it a good event. They did like exceptionally well. They were fun to watch. And there was also a lot of variety in what was on display. You know, fun building challenges, trailers for shows and specials, new set reveals, etc., etc. A lot of cross promotion with Lego Masters, which was smart. Just in general, it was very well done. And the Crystallized trailer was incredibly
Oh,
hype.
yeah, I was shocked they even had the Crystallized trailer there. Like very pleasantly surprised, but I was not expecting. I thought they would show like the poster and that was it because that's what it seemed like from what Tommy was saying. Like he was like, "Oh, hopefully it doesn't leak." And then when the poster leaked, he was like, "Okay, well, never mind." So I was like, "Oh, that's it for Legocon." So I was very, very pleasantly surprised to see the trailer.
Yeah, same actually. I didn't know the trailer was coming. Um, I mean, yeah, we knew about the poster, like you were saying, but that's awesome. That was definitely like for most of us in TTV, it was the highlight. So
Yeah.
Yep.
The interesting thing they revealed was that it's the end of the current Ninjago storyline. Whatever that means, which is a very vague statement that could mean a bunch of different things. What do you think it means?
I think I saw this sort of coming from a while. I think around like last year, like early February or March, I put out a video. I was like, guys, Ninjago's getting another soft reboot in 2023 because I think Tommy literally said so in like a not like it was kind of a buried interview on like the Ninjago.com website, but he did it for the 10th anniversary and like I think he literally said Ninjago needs to reinvent itself every like 3 or 4 years.
He did say that.
And
I remember that quote.
it hit like the exact time and I was like, okay, well the last time 3 or 4 years ago was season 11, so like we're definitely gonna get something different. And like all the teasing on Twitter that this is a conclusion and whatnot. I am incredibly curious to see what they do going forwards. I don't know if you guys saw, but Promo Bricks on Instagram says that they will be revealing everything about it this Friday. Um,
What?
yeah, they posted
We,
a story earlier today saying let me see exactly what the
I
language
mean,
was.
the ultimate thing, whatever they do reveal, we probably won't be talking about it on this channel because it'll constitute a leak. But that's
Yeah.
interesting that it's like imminent.
Oh, their story's gone. But what they said was
yep,
I
there it
think like
is.
it would be Taco 2023. All will be revealed this Friday. So apparently
Interesting.
it's imminent.
I
And
saw
some of
that post. Are you sure that was Promo Brick?
wait, was it someone else?
I don't know. I saw the post that was like archived. I
Oh,
bet it was on another account.
I'm 99% sure it was Promo Bricks.
Well, if that's the case, for anybody who doesn't want to know about the future, I guess avoid Ninjago social media soon.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Oh
What do
boy.
you guys think they're gonna do?
Well, it's difficult for me because it's difficult for me to parse what I think they're gonna do and what I hope they're gonna do. That's
Yeah.
really what the
Yeah.
difficult part for me in the conversation is. What I think they're gonna do is just like what you said. It's gonna be another like soft reboot. It's gonna be like, oh, they're gonna cycle back to like the status quo, and then they're gonna like introduce some new threats and stuff. What I hope they're gonna do is like full on, like time jump,
Lego,
time
please,
skip,
Lego.
new
Please,
characters, basically the
please,
Star Wars sequel trilogy treatment, but
please,
good.
please, Lego.
Look, listen. I love the ninja. I love all their characters. I could do whole videos about how much I love them. They're likable. They're fun. They've also been around for too long. They
Yeah.
weren't planned to last this long. It's impressive they have lasted this long, but we need new blood.
Yep.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Eljay, what about you?
Yeah, no, I'm basically in line with you because we've been saying it for a while.
Yeah, you're right.
We need something new, but I don't know how much of that is us thinking reasonably and how much of it is we're Bionicle fans who are used to character rotation of a grander scale.
That's true.
Would be really cool if they did that. It may have been Sakota who actually said this on Twitter. Somebody said on Twitter who had a really good idea was that, like, what if they just did multiple spin-offs of Ninjago, but like in different genres, so they could do like a night spin-off or like an underwater spin-off, and like essentially like put out like a ton of different like original Lego theme concepts again, but just featuring characters from Ninjago and stuff like that, which I think would be super cool, but I don't know if Lego would go for that.
That's the challenge, really. I find it difficult to believe they'd invest into a million different genres, especially
Yeah.
about side characters and stuff.
Yeah.
But it'd be cool. I mean, that's a pipe dream for me. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Let's do
Like, we still have a show. Like,
yeah.
central storytelling is key. But yes.
Let's do another question. This should be funny. BIONICLE Eljay, how did you sell your G2 art book to DuckBricks? Tell us that story.
Wow. Okay, this is a classic tale, right? Okay, it's actually kind of funny because I went to a convenience store, just to get some snacks and whatnot, and lo and behold, Chris was at the same convenience store also getting snacks. So we got to talking, as folks in the Lego community do, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm looking for a particular book," and I was like, "You know what? I might have that book." So I checked, and
he had it in his pocket. Actually, he carries it around with him wherever.
That's right. So I dug in, I brought it out, and you flip through it, and you're like, "I'll buy it on the spot." It's like, okay, all right. You know what?
I paid in cash and told you, please do not trace this back to me. I'm going to leave this cash outside and walk outside, and then you'll pick it up later.
That's right. I was actually arrested, like right after you left, because they thought I was doing, like I was selling drugs. So it's crazy.
What a coincidence.
Yeah, right?
Dear God, you clowns.
He reached out to me on Discord. I was like, absolutely, I'm not doing anything with it. We agreed on a price, and I shipped it to him, and he made a fantastic video going through it, and that's how that went.
It's an interesting thing. There is actually a bit more to it.
I begged. I needed this.
The art book has actually been owned by all three of us in this call at one point.
Oh, that's right.
Really?
I find that very interesting because the art book was mine. I won it in a BZ Power mock contest, which is bizarre to me because I don't mock. And number two, when I do mock, I don't mock well. But I think it must have resonated with at least some people because I won. I got the art book and I had it for a time, and then I sold it to LJ, and then he sold it to you. So it's passed through all of our hands, which I think is funny.
Very nice. What had happened was that you never see these go on eBay or whatnot, but somebody put it on eBay and it had the signatures of like the Bionicle design team and everything. And I was bidding for it for quite a while, and 20 seconds before the bid closed, someone outbid me. I think they were waiting to press the button because they really wanted it. I was incredibly upset by that. I was desperate to find the book, and Meso and Eljay really came in clutch. Like, I was literally asking everybody I knew in the Bionicle community, like, do you know if anybody has this? Like, I'll pay like anything within reason. There's literally one that just sold for like a good amount of money. Like, I'll match like something close to that. Like, if it doesn't have signatures, a little less, but like I'll go up to there. And LJ really came in clutch. So thank you so much. This is like the prize of my collection.
I'm very glad it's in great hands. I'm happy that you are going to enjoy. I enjoyed it. I liked having it, but at that time I wasn't doing anything with it. So I was like, you know what? You're gonna get more use out of it. I'm sorry that it didn't have the signatures, and
no worries.
I'm sorry about the damage. I obviously didn't, like, neither Meso nor I caused that. It was from shipping from him to me. And this is why I always ship with UPS. This is not a sponsored video. But yeah, no, it's in good hands. I'm glad you're getting a lot of value out of it.
Thank you, and no worries about the damage. I will never resell it, probably ever. It's for my own collection. I plan to have a museum open one day at some point.
That'd be awesome.
So it will be proudly displayed there, and the damage will not matter because it's mine.
Yep. Oh, that's awesome. That's
Post in the
fantastic.
patron chat from Super Someone. Now DuckBricks, sell it back to Mesa. And we just keep the
Oh,
cycle
so
continuing. Just
Oh,
pass
dude, I
around like
should
hot
invest in a
potato.
pyramid scheme.
There you go. No, it's money laundering through G2 art books. That's what it is.
We still know the location of one more art book, actually. I'm not going to say who has it, but I know where it is.
Oh. I
Yeah.
forgot about
We can introduce another variable into the scheme.
Fair enough.
Another layer to the laundry mix.
Based.
Ah, shoot. That's
All right.
funny.
Next question. From Crunchbite. Will Tuyet be at Brick Fair, Virginia? I don't know. I doubt it. I don't know if Buki, like...
No, Ibuki lives in Japan, so...
Yeah, I'm going to say probably not. Now, is it possible that someone will replicate the design and have the model on display? That's certainly possible. But I have no way of knowing, you know?
Yeah.
This will be my first Brick Fair. I'm going to be attending in a post-canon contest or even during canon contest landscape. So I don't know if the models will be on display in any capacity. I don't know if people are that interested, but we'll see. It would be cool to see them in real life. I know at least one, maybe, but yeah, we'll see. Bionic Toa, everyone, what are your thoughts on the new Avatar sets and the figures? Well, we've only seen one. And I like it. I would never pay the asking price for it, but I like it. It's a cool set, you know, it's got the cool tree, it's got the cool bird thing. But it's extremely expensive. I think it's like $140.
50.
150. Oh, lovely. Well, now I'm definitely getting it. I have to get it now. No.
Yeah, for one.
Yeah, no. I don't know. I don't like Avatar. I've made no secret about the fact I don't like Avatar, but the set is cool. The figure a little bit more divisive, but I don't have a problem with them. I get what they're going for, you know, the long limbs. They're not my speed, but I get it. What about you guys?
Chris?
For me, it is bizarre that Lego is resurrecting the Woody Toy Story long legs and long arms after not doing it for the Toy Story figures. I thought that was long dead in an era of Lego's design philosophy that was long gone.
That is a good point, isn't it?
It
They
is
didn't do it.
interesting. I am glad to get them because it's cool, but it looks a little bit odd. I think the most off-putting thing to me are the heads. I don't necessarily think they needed a special mold for the heads, but like they're okay. I understand why they did it. Because I'm a shill for Lego and will buy anything they put out. I've already pre-ordered it, although I also don't agree with the price. I think it's stupidly overpriced.
Yeah.
Not that it stopped me before, but like
it's one of those things.
problem.
I get it. It's like 1,200 pieces plus a licensing fee. It is too expensive. It's not like it's past the point of understandability. It's just, to me, I'm finding more and more Lego sets are like deceptively complex, where I'm like, okay, the piece count justifies the price. It just doesn't look it. It doesn't look that way to me. I feel the same way about the castle set.
Yeah, ooh, that's another one that I feel is like $100 overpriced. But
Yeah.
I think Jang is a good way of putting it, where he's like, there's price per part, and there's also like price per like volume of stuff. And I think that it's the volume of stuff that I'm like, ooh, that's not 150. That's yeah, it's like 120 at best, 110 maybe. But yeah.
That's generally my my ethos on it. I have
Looks
no
cool.
plans.
Can't wait to see the other ones. Like,
yeah, true enough.
Maybe
I know you're the big Avatar fan.
Oh, of course, you know. I remember when the movie came out. I drank so much colloidal silver I turned blue so I could look like the Navi.
There you go. So you'll definitely be buying it day one.
Yeah,
and reviewing it.
definitely not. I've no interest in it. No interest in Avatar. I saw the first movie. It was mediocre at best, and the set looks phenomenal. It looks outstandingly good. Also, not my thing. Not for me. So I'm gonna save money on that by not buying it.
Very reasonable. Very reasonable indeed.
Yep.
And Lego, please just make the other Avatar. Like, come on, just do
What are you
it.
talking about, Chris? They did. They did it. It was amazing.
There is no Lego Avatar in classics.
Did you guys know that they're doing Avatar like theatrical movies?
I saw that. They're making
I-
3 of them like in the next
I didn't
3
know
years.
this. That just caught me off guard. And I was like, when did that happen? I'm not even sure if it's been officially announced or if it's just like
It's-
kind of leaked.
I
But
think it was officially announced recently.
Yeah, they announced Avatar Studios like this time last year, but it was very under the radar because they were just like, "Yeah, we're doing it. We're gonna make movies," and then there was like nobody talked about it, which I
it's
thought was
wild
odd.
to me. And it's like Kyoshi, Zuko, and Korra. So it's like
Yep.
one from each era, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah,
but
I'm
anyway.
excited. Please,
Definitely
Lego,
excited.
partner with them. Like, come on, it's the right,
Yeah, I mean,
right.
no, I mean that is a good opportunity. That's a very good opportunity. Maybe that will happen. We'll see.
Allegedly, like they had bad dealings with Nickelodeon previously, which is why they've like cut off ties. But that may just be conjecture. Like, I don't know. I feel like I heard that somewhere, but I'm
Oh,
hoping it's
no.
not the case.
Yeah, definitely not. Suddenly Oranges said, make wackier masks with socket ball. That guy can move mountains with his creativity. So true.
Yeah.
So
Wait till
true.
you see the next prizes.
Oh,
Oh god.
it's exciting.
Yes.
Bubble says Legocon is so disappointing. Space and castle, but no Bionicle. Yeah, that was a thing. That was a thing we did notice. I wouldn't say it was disappointing necessarily. I think it was a very good event, but like from a Bionicle perspective, it was absolutely disappointing. You know, like its absence was very noteworthy, and I'm not even talking about an anniversary set, which
Wasn't
would
even on the
definitely
cake.
be cool. It wasn't even on the cake, and that definitely, I definitely felt that. Less so the anniversary set. I'd long since kind of made my peace that it probably wouldn't happen, even though I have my grievances with how that poll was handled. More about the cake.
Ooh, that's a whole different video right there. That's
It is. I feel like we could talk a lot about that. Kodiak Captures asks, DuckBricks, what is your favorite part of the Tuyet contest? I'm glad I could help out and that this contest went so smoothly.
Oh yeah, thanks, Cody. Yeah, you were incredibly helpful. You too. Thank you so much. My favorite part was just seeing like seeing all the entries was really cool because going into it, I'm gonna be completely honest. Going into it, I was like, okay, we're gonna run this, but Bucky's probably gonna win. Like just internally, I was like, I haven't really seen that many like really good ones out there. I also wasn't looking, but then I actually ran it and I was absolutely blown away by the stellar quality of so many entries. So much so that the winning entry was not actually the one that I was voting for throughout the process. I will not reveal which one that was, but I was actually rooting for one of the other ones, which kind of outdid the winning one for me personally. So it was
Fair
just
enough.
really cool to me to see so many people enter. Very, very impressed with the quality of entries, and it was very painful voting for me to narrow down to my favorite 4 for each round, as I'm sure it was for many people.
Yeah, no, I get that. There was definitely there was a lot of commonality with the entries from what I saw, but there was also a lot of bold approaches. And like even though Buki's was my favorite personally, I definitely have seen a mantra in the community that his like is very safe, is very like standard, which I get. There were definitely some more like abstract ones that definitely went through. People like going all sorts, but you know, people like the idea of one that fits in with an established aesthetic. I think for like display purposes and stuff.
Pretty expected. Yeah.
Yeah, but there was a lot of good variety on display for sure. People brought their A game, and that's always one of the best feelings about contests.
100.
I think now that our general, like our specific involvement is done with, I can finally comfortably say this. The out there entries were probably never going to win any of the canon contests. Not
Yeah.
because they were ever bad mocks, but because
People don't want
They just like the most popular mocks that I recall, the most popular winners of any of the contests that we ran were the Haga. They were also the ones under the greatest degree of scrutiny in terms of like rule set and what the community wanted and what the canon quotes were regarding. And after that contest ended, I distinctly recall seeing so many people, more than average, just really, really happy with the outcome. And you know what? They're all, with the exception of Botamogna, pretty standard Metro builds. In fact, Botamogna was the most controversial for being so out
Different.
And the
so
shield
different.
plate.
But they were all pretty much standard Metro builds that deviated ever so slightly from the formula in order to create a unique appearance for the Toa Haga.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was always going to be the case. Those were going to be the most popular entries because there are oftentimes things that Bionicle sets have a specific texture. Like it's a what is it? It's a psychological texture to them. It's the best way I can describe it now. Like, okay,
A psychological texture.
for all you young ones, because I speak your language, a vibe, right? Bionicle sets, they have a vibe, and
LJ says vibe 2K22.
and
Now, LJ, can you say dab on the haters next?
no, so they have a vibe to them. There's a specific way that they're built. There's a specific, like, appearance, and a lot of mocks don't line up with that. They have a little more complexity. They have a little more mockish sensibility to them, and I'm not saying those are bad things. There were so many phenomenal mocks throughout all of the contests, but you definitely, when it came to canon contests, people were looking for a specific appearance.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's always the it was a tension that was never fully resolved. Like right up until the end, it was like one of the predominant debates with the Haga contest, and it was. I remember this distinctly. It was like, well, is it a mock contest or is it a canon contest? If you view it as a mock contest, then you need to have minimal restrictions. You need to encourage creativity above all else. You need to vote for abstract, stuff that really like takes claim and is unique and original and inventive. And that's the most important thing. Rules which limit or prohibit that are bad. That was one ethos. And then if you flip it to the other side, it's like, no, these are canon contests. They're about finding the best representation of a character that would fit within Bionicle's world, which means it should adhere to proportions of the character's contemporaries. It should adhere to the aesthetic. It should adhere to even just kind of the build it has in general. Like, I think one predominant example of this was the Artaka contest with Wholesome Gadunka's mock.
That was a headache.
That was a headache. It was an absolutely top tier mock.
So cool.
It was so freaking good. It was straight up like a sculpture. It was masterclass. And it was also 100% painted. And it was like painstakingly, detailed and intricate and interwoven. And I'm like, that was never like it came pretty close. It was up there, but it was never gonna win.
Yeah.
Because that's not what people were ultimately looking for in Artaka. Doubly so when it's a Toa.
Yeah.
Because Toa do have to follow like some kind of not always, Inika versus, Mari. There's a pretty big range. Inika versus Mata,
There's a look. Like
there is a look, especially for characters from the same era. There's kind of an expectation. There's nothing saying Tuyet has to look like, Legocon or whatever, but there is the expectation that you'd want to display them together.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what it boils down to.
Yeah.
That being said, I love seeing the complex stuff. It makes me happy seeing how like abstract people can get. It's just realistically speaking, they probably won't win.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't even say they probably wouldn't win now. I think they have a very good shot at winning now. It's just when it came to the canon contests, no.
They weren't gonna win.
Yeah.
Bionic Toa says, I think out there designs will only work for characters that never had a preferred visual to them. Lariska, for example, is a perfect moment to go wild. Absolutely the case. That'll be a good one.
Yeah.
We had a few more good questions. I lost my place in the YouTube chat. Where did it go? Oh, here's a good one. Bionic Toa, DuckBricks, will you ever meet up with TTV crew during one of the brick fairs? And then while we're on that topic, Wombat Combat Productions in the patron chat, Brick Fair Virginia is coming up super fast. Are you guys planning on going this year? Well, Chris, are you?
Oh, I really, really want to. Unfortunately, my work starts on August 8th, which is the Monday, I think, right after Brick Fair ends.
You are correct.
And I will be coming back from my vacation on August 1st. Ideally, I would have some time to like get ready for work, but I'm gonna kind of play it by ear because I definitely won't be going as a presenter because I think it's too late for that.
It's not.
No, it's not.
Oh, is it not? Okay, well, but my idea was that I would get home on August 1st, see how I'm feeling time zone wise because I'll be in a completely different time zone. Like see what my exhaustion level is basically, and I would love to go and meet you guys in person if I could. I certainly am hoping I can make it.
I won't put any pressure on you because those are very extenuating, very adult, real world factors. But it would low key make the event if you could be there. That would be incredibly cool. I'd very much like to meet you.
It would make it for me as well. The unfortunate thing is I was supposed to go on the one that happened I think in January. And the thing is I had a booth. Or no, I was trying to get a booth because I was going with my friend. A friend of mine, he's in the Lego lighting business community and whatnot. He wanted to showcase some of his like custom light kits and stuff like that. So we had all of our like hotels planned together and whatnot. And then as it turns out, we were a little bit too slow and we did not in fact end up getting a booth. So he no longer wanted to go, and I was like, well, I mean, I don't know if I should go by myself. Like I don't think I really knew you guys that well at this point. Like I definitely would go now, but I was like, I don't know if I'll know anyone. Like it might be weird. Like I don't really like I'm not super involved in the community side of things. So since I
didn't have a presence there, did we?
Haley and I were there.
Oh, I forgot that you were.
Because it was Brick Fair Birmingham in Alabama.
Yeah. See, I'd love to go to a. What? What'd you say?
What was that?
Oh, I also don't know if like I necessarily like really wanted to go to Alabama that much.
Yeah,
you literally stole the words from my mouth.
Like, I'm gonna be completely honest.
I would love a January Brick Fair. I would also love if I never had to set foot in Alabama again in my life. No offense to anyone who lives there. I've spent a decent chunk of my life there. I was displaced by Hurricane Katrina, and I lived in Alabama for a few years, and they're probably the worst years of my life. So I'd rather not return, if at all possible.
I was definitely in Birmingham, and I can 100% say Birmingham is an ugly city.
Yeah,
it was not a place I would eagerly look forward to visiting again.
But I'm sure the event itself was totally fine.
It was fun. Yeah, it was like a lower key Brick Fair, Virginia.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna definitely pull for you going. I would very much love for you to be there. We will have a presence. We have not formally announced it on the channel yet, but we'll probably be making a standalone video pretty soon here, just kind of letting people know. We have 6 people confirmed to be in attendance.
Wow. Okay.
Are we good to say who else?
Yeah, everyone's basically confirmed.
Cool. So it's going to be myself, LJ, Haley, Zach, aka Starbreaker, who does the mock spotlight nowadays, his girlfriend, the Gundam Lady, who has done Lego set reviews on our channel for Lego City Space, and was recently on Monkey Cast, and Leo, aka Big Thwomp, who's done some Star Wars reviews for us, and has also been on Monkey Cast. So we have 3 people from the old guard and 3 people from like the new era of the channel who are going to be there. So it's like a good blend.
how exciting. That is really, really cool how you have so many people going.
Yeah.
Well, it's not our biggest one. 2019 was when we had everyone
okay.
going.
We're not repeating that one.
Probably not. Like it's a nice thought to have everybody meet each other, but it's also a logistical nightmare. It was fun to do once.
Yes. It was also only possible once. Literally, that was the last time we could have done it because a lot of the people that were there are no longer participants in the channel. And also, it was right before COVID hit.
Yeah, that's true. But we will be going. We'll be there all week. We're going there as exhibitors. So we'll be just like hanging around, and then we'll of course be there on the public days. We'll have more info about like what exactly we're doing, a bit closer to the event.
We're gonna have games and panels and stuff if we can get it all worked out. So it'll be good.
Well, I
It'll be very
certainly
cool.
hope I can meet you there. That is quite exciting. I really do want to make it.
That would be awesome. I remember I was really looking forward to meeting you in Birmingham.
Same here. Yeah, it was shame. Hopefully, I'll make it. If not this time, the next time.
Yeah,
We'll
no,
see.
because
All right.
we'll probably be back next time. So, well, if it's an eventuality.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's see. Another one from Bionic Toe. He's asking a lot of good questions. DuckBricks, how did the Lego price increases affect you since you buy a lot of sets per year? I mean, not good,
Yeah,
More money.
Yeah, the answer is not well, but I mean, to be honest, like I don't go into this too much on my channel, but I don't know, why not? Like I kind of have like a set budget that I have for Lego, where like I'm kind of at the point now where like the price doesn't. I think I'm incredibly lucky to be from a standpoint where like with my job and everything, I can use a portion of my salary to the point where like the price of sets doesn't really matter to me too much. I guess like it's I think very fortunate to be in that position. And I know not everyone else is the same. So I think I more feel bad about a lot of kids who are going to be affected by them.
Yeah.
Because I don't think anyone should be paying $110 for Kai's Golden Dragon Raider, for example. I don't think anyone should be
That
paying
one is
$100 for that.
absolutely abysmal.
Yeah. So I think it's going to really hurt kids buying stuff, and it's quite odd to me that Lego is doing this and doing it very publicly, for that matter, because they could have very quietly just like increased prices on new sets from what they planned, and I don't think like people would have said they were overpriced, but I don't think they would have noticed. But like going back and retroactively making sets more expensive is pretty extreme, which is odd, but I guess it's to pay for their new deal with Epic Games, which is a quite odd investment as well, plus the factory in the US, which makes a little bit more sense.
Touche. Well, there you go. We only have 2 questions left. I mean, unless you wanted to talk about it, Elj.
Talk about what?
The prices.
Oh, no, I got nothing to add.
High prices equals bad. There you go.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's us. 2 questions left. One from the YouTube and one from the patron chat. YouTube is Jared Jr., who asks, so could there potentially be a Knack and Jay episode about Legocon and following up on the 90th anniversary contest?
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that.
It's possible. I feel like we could definitely do it. I just don't know what exactly we would say that we have not already said. My opinion hasn't really changed based on the outcome. You and I were pretty, we had one foot placed in reality when we were talking about the 90th anniversary contest. We knew it was a long shot, so it's not like we got our hopes up for it, like with Sakota's project.
What I did with that is I just had fun with it, like making the videos and the speeches and rallying people and making a bunch of memes on Twitter and goofing around with like Brian Saviano and whatnot. Like that was the most fun I had in regards to that, but I also didn't have high hopes. As soon as Lego said, just because a certain theme wins doesn't mean that's what we're going to be making a set out of. It's like, okay.
That was the moment I divested my hope. Like, of course we tried, of course you hype people up, of course you put your best foot forward and you do your best to get, it voted to the top of the polls because, at what point, what if it does pan out? That'd be great. It's why I still want to make a big push to get the all the ideas projects on Lego Ideas to 10,000. Do I actually think Lego's going to make sets based off them? By precedent, probably not, but I'd still like to see them get to 10,000, and we should promote them a bit more because some of those are nearing the end of their run. But like, you got to try. You just can't get too invested in it because realistically, it's probably not going to happen. So that's why I don't really have a lot to say personally. I think what that discussion would roll into, though, because there will be an avenue we can discuss it more in. It's going to be more in terms of discussion about Bionicle's viability to return and what kind of sets it could have. We've already done a few episodes of that topic, but specifically two we want to do that we've wanted to do for a while that we just haven't got around to doing is we want to do 2 episodes about Lego Ideas projects, and we want to have Sakota on one as a guest and Toav Plastic on as another for a guest, who's another prolific mockist in the community who has, ideas projects up. And I think that's where that discussion will inevitably take place whenever we're able to actually get the ball rolling on having those episodes, because that'll kind of encompass those topics. So we will definitely discuss it more, just probably not on a dedicated episode. Yes. Last question was from Toa Plastic, which I skipped earlier and forgot about it, but I'm cycling back to it. He says, for DuckBricks, have you considered getting Mask of Destiny involved to make the dedicated voting platform they were talking about? The Google forums work, but I found the process a bit clunky. I'm not even sure if you know what this is referring to. Do you?
I think I do. From my understanding, I have spoken to Mask of Destiny a little bit. And I believe, I could be wrong on this, but to my knowledge, it never actually materialized. It was just kind of a concept. I have talked to them fairly recently, and I think that was what was the most recent update on it. That being said, I think that the current system for deciding on the winner has absolutely been fantastic. For voting, I understand Google Forms may not be the most ideal because you have to click on the link to get there. Personally, I don't really know of a way to make it better and transparent at the same time. Definitely open to suggestions. However, it's been working pretty great so far, so I don't personally see it needing to be changed for the foreseeable future. If something horrendous goes wrong in this next round or in a future round, then we absolutely will rethink it. We already are looking into, or I guess I already am looking into some other alternatives in terms of voting, but I guess from my logic, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it's worked so far. So I don't
we
really
were very focused on making sure to have a voting platform that, could be trusted in the account of people trying to fabricate votes or dupe accounts or generally screw with things, because we had, tangible evidence that happened, which was why in our discussions we were always like, oh, we need to put security first, security at the top, security front and center, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know if it's as much of a concern in your case because people aren't really trying to screw with you, except for the brigading stuff you mentioned earlier, which you can deal with.
Yeah.
You're right in saying the idea never, materialized in anything substantive. But that is kind of by design. It was an offhand thing they suggested during our discussion as a way to not have the voting hosted on the TTV message boards. That was the real thing, because the point they raised was having an account was in a sense kind of gatekeeping you to join the community, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It was a whole discussion.
They didn't want it on our website, was what it amounted to.
That's basically what it boiled down to. So their idea was have like a plugin or like a widget that you can put on multiple different sites and multiple different forums that would act as a consolidated poll system. And we were like, that sounds awesome. How would that work?
Yeah.
And they were like, well, we don't really have that figured out because it's an early idea. And we were like, well, could you like get a proof of concept? And they were like, why are you asking for proof of concept? It's so early. That's unrealistic. And we were like, well, we kind of need to have any evidence that this exists because it sounds like a very pie in the sky dream.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to stake a complete, revitalization of our infrastructure on like pixie dust and a prayer. But
Yeah.
it was a good idea. I'll give it that. If you ever do need it, it might be something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
But if what you have works, then go for it. Be happy. Go nuts.
Yeah, and like to their credit, like I have talked to Mask of Destiny, and like they seem to be perfectly okay with how they're being run. I think they
There
have
we go.
some involvement in. I might be thinking of a different group, but I think they have. Yeah, it's them. Some involvement in Bionicle Day this year, and they apparently
Yeah.
like the content enough. They asked me to do a segment on them for Bionicle Day for their show. So I said sure.
Good
So
stuff.
it seems that they are totally okay with how they're being run so far. Ideally, there should not need to be any changes in voting unless
Cool.
something comes up.
No.
Yeah, man. Go nuts. Get that publicity.
good-
Spread the word.
Yeah. No. Spread the word. They're probably approving because you're not us, so that's a good thing for
There you
the
go.
Sorry.
the spread of the contests.
Big thumbs up. This is not a question, but I will read it out loud. Axelford, bit behind on the stream, but thanks again for the shout outs on my project. Been so busy with IRL stuff, but I know I need to update it with weathering, etc., for it to appeal more. I will say I'm sorry, Axelford, because I didn't actually shout you out by name. I simply spoke in general about all the ideas projects, which I definitely want to. But I will say Axelford's in specific is the closest.
Oh shoot!
Axelford
Yeah.
is the creator of the Motonui Rises Bionicle tribute set,
Yes.
the Great Spirit Robot. It has 268 days left, and it is currently at 8,838 supporters. So it definitely is the closest. If people rally behind it, it can definitely get there. The significant runner-ups that are pretty close. There's the Bionicle Tahu Awakens, which is at 3,433 supporters by Watapon. The issue with that is it only has 74 days left. So we need to get that one to the next milestone so it can get another day extension. And then we have the Bionicle Toa head statue by Yannick builds things, which is at 4,339 supporters with 105 days left. And there's a bunch of others which I want to spotlight too, but those are definitely the ones that are furthest along right now. So please, I know they've been discussed like ad nauseum and people have shared them around, but share them around more in the different communities. Give them a little bump on social media. Ask people to talk about them. Because I would definitely like to see those clear, as well as pretty much everything on Lego Ideas. I'd like to see clear.
I love the idea of the Motonui Rises one, but I also, oh gosh, if that were ever to become a set, I'd have to eat crow so bad because I constantly riff on Lego Star Wars for having a bunch of giant gray sets. It's like,
Yeah.
boy, I'm so excited to shill out $250 for a giant gray robot.
Yeah.
It'll be only 250.
Yeah, okay, I'm trying to be generous.
Well, no, I mean it has 2,077 parts.
Yeah,
I'd say
but if
250
Lego's
is
jacking up their
reasonable.
prices,
Yeah, maybe 300.
yeah,
It's difficult. I don't see Lego approving that. I can see them being like, oh, this isn't representative of the Bionicle experience. We don't want to approve this. But at the same token, I can also see the exact opposite. I can see them being like, they're more likely to approve it based on the fact that it is, at the very least, an articulated figure and is, at the very least, something that is not hyper specialized to have some general appeal, because people can just be like, oh, hey, it's a robot.
Yeah. I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
I'd swap out that plaque for like a little brick built island in Matanui, and then like even tinier like Codrex you can just like, or sorry, not Codrex, but like Core of the Universe you can just like place in a hollowed out chest and like stuff like that. A little Voyanui that pops up.
So that's basically all I got. I want to do those two Knack and Jays. Sakota did a good idea spotlight. I want to do some more of those. I definitely want to get like every Bionicle project on there right now to 10K. I think at the very least that's something which I would like for the community to do. Just keep shoving it in their faces. Just keep doing it. Eventually something will crack through. But yeah, I think that's about all for today. Unless we have anything else.
Well, Chris, is there anything else you'd like to say? Anything you'd like to remark on, or?
I think that's about it. I mean, I guess around this whole ideas thing, I'll just quickly share my 2 cents. Really, really hope that they go through. I was probably much more disappointed that Sakota's project was not fundraised to the right amount on Bricklink when that all happened, as I was compared to Bionicle not getting anything for 90th anniversary or anything substantial, because that was like kind of expected, to be honest, for me. I certainly hope that Sakota's project not getting funded did not send a signal to Lego that Bionicle fans are not willing to pay for new Bionicle. I really do hope that it wasn't Lego like kind of testing the waters, seeing like, would they actually buy it? No, they won't. Well, never mind then. I'm kind of shocked that it didn't go through, so I was really sad about that. I am still waiting on instructions for like Lego to release that. They promised they would release instructions for the ones that didn't go through. So please, Sakota, let's have those instructions. I want to build that like as soon as possible. It's really, really cool. It's a great model. But yeah, I certainly like absolutely should support every Bionicle project on ideas, if not just for the principle of showing Lego that we want to see it back.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely true. Well, all right. I would like to say thank you very much for coming on today. You were an absolute blast to talk to, sharing stories and perspectives and just generally commiserating. We should definitely link up again for some kind of discussion or collaboration.
Would love to.
It was an absolute blast. Be there at Brick Fair, or you're dead to me. No, I'm kidding.
No pressure though, right? No.
I'm kidding. No pressure. It's fine. It's chill. But all the pressure actually.
Oh my God.
And thank you to everybody who watched along and who followed. Everybody go subscribe to DuckBricks on YouTube for excellent videos and more fun contests in future. And that's basically all we got. We didn't do the plugs at start. Do you want to do the plugs now, Elj?
Nah, I'm gonna skip them this week.
No plug run? Alright, fair enough.
Yeah.
That is totally cool. Alright. Well, that's basically it.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
I'm very glad. I'm glad it was a definite blast.
Let's talk again in the future for sure.
We absolutely must.
I
And
agree.
we will be back with a Knack and Jay at some point very soon. The aforementioned guest appearances we want to do, but also a few other ideas we want to do for ones, especially leading up to Brick Fair.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be back with some more pretty soon this go round. We won't have another 2-month break. So LJ, you can cue up the music whenever you're ready, and I'll just go along as best I can.
All right. Yeah, that sounds like a plan. 3, 2, 1, music.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening once again. I am Meso.
I'm LJ.
And streaming to you from a golden beach, this was Knack and Jay.